What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Silver for the Best Gaming Podcast number 524. Ola Solar, what's up, sir? Now I'm gonna get him mixed up with Silver and then Sonar all day long. Happens every single time. Silver joins us for a second time in a row by fate, happenstance, luck, karma, maybe black magic hex, because I accidentally put us in the chat and just called him, so he was nice enough to show up. Still probably looks twice as good as us, and he's gonna join us for some Ghost discussion, as well as I want to talk a little bit about sequels. And well, we'll talk about it, but it's sequels they're making of, what you guys think of this, its response versus Ubisoft's Shadows, some definite differences in how the responses were between those, which I've noticed. And then whatever else you guys want to talk about, as well as Subnautica's woes and troubles, which surprised the hell out of me. First of all, we'll just jump to you guys. Johnny, what has been the game of choice in the last week?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mix. Death Stranding is still rolling. And also playing some League during the week, as well as some Night Rain. Actually jumped back into it with Silver and another buddy, and we had some good times there as well.
Like the cursed run, yeah.
we had a bit of a cursed run, but still great.
Why do you say that?
Because we had one run that was going super well, and then suddenly we had this bullshit boss that is completely invisible. It starts draining your levels. There's no way to locate or fight him unless you know exactly. Unless you know exactly, like, again, it's a knowledge check, if you know how to react to that. But we didn't. So we lost half of our levels, and the run was completely doomed. There was no counterplay.
So is that something? Oh, go ahead.
And there was also the final boss on the second day was in the Scarlet Rot Zone. So there was also that to contend with.
Right, so we were taking damage over time during the boss. Yeah.
Is that something that is sort of normal for this? Where you can have a death run, like a run that's just ultimately...
Yes.
Congrats, you're fucked? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think back to... RNG. Yeah. It's kind of like Vermintide. If you remember, sometimes you would get, like, a bad spawn, like the tentacle guy show up out of nowhere, and boom, your run is over. Sometimes it doesn't have as many of those things, I would say, but it's got a few that, it's gonna really set you back.
And so how do you reset from that?
You do another one. Hope it's better.
You do another one. And honestly, the most frustrating part is that I didn't even learn how to deal with that. I still don't know how to counterplay that boss. I didn't find any information online. Of course, there's no information in-game. Like any FromSoft game, it's all like mysterious. So I don't like that part. I think it should inform you, like, hey, just so you know, you got boned by this thing. Here's a tip on what you can do next time.
Right. That's interesting. I guess I just hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that's definitely something that can end up popping up, especially on those games. It's just been a while since I've played like a team-based one. Usually when you're by yourself, there's a little bit of a parachute there. Not always, but there's usually a grind you can do, but this is timed anyway too, right? So you're timed. Yeah. Damn, that's got to be rough. What about you, Silver? What have you been playing?
Still Breath of the Wild. Pretty much. That and Mario Kart World a little bit. I do have to say, I really love the new Rainbow Road from Mario Kart World. Like that track is really a spectacle. I think it's the best iteration we've seen of that track in Mario Kart ever. Probably.
So you're getting your money out of that one.
Yeah, and that's also one where I actually do think the transition from the open world to that track works really well when you're like going from the ground and then up into the sky and the stars. Like
seems
that transition
to have helped it.
Yeah, that transition is really sort of spectacular. So I think that track is really a high point in that game, for sure, for me.
Have you found or would you say most of them are either good to great? Has there been a track or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the tracks are definite
cool.
highlights, which is also a part of why I'm a little underwhelmed by the open world aspect, because you spend so much time in the Grand Prix mode going from track to track and so little time comparatively on the actual tracks, which are really sort of the highlights of the game. So that sort of compounds that issue a little bit. But the tracks themselves, I think, are really, really great. And they offer really, really fun little shortcuts. And I mean, in terms of like skill level, this is probably the highest skill level Mario Kart game I've played, just because of the sheer amount of techniques that are available to you in terms of like driving on the walls now, jumping to and from and stuff. The way you can sort of sequence that together into consistent boosts.
So you don't mean skills. You don't mean a required skill ceiling, right? You mean just like you can show skill, right? You could. I mean, it's not. I guess what I'm saying is it's not making it hard for newcomers. It's just making it that you can tell somebody's been playing it.
No, for sure. For sure, it makes it hard for newcomers because you don't know how to tie those things together.
Damn.
So if you're a newcomer who doesn't know how to execute those techniques, everyone else is just going to be nearly a lap ahead of you pretty quickly compared to older Mario Karts, I think. So I think there is much higher skill ceiling in this game comparatively to older Mario Karts.
Did you guys see the thing about Donkey Kong? They announced or admitted during an interview that game was a Switch 1 game. They held back for the Switch 2. Thought that was interesting. Maybe it makes sense on why it sort of looks the way it looks, because maybe they didn't have the the resources to roll that up into whatever it could be on the Switch 2. I mean, I'm not saying it looks bad at all. It's just it's been the game that I think everybody mentions graphically has some resolution issues. Has some problems here or there. Sorry, I'm just letting my dog in.
The FPS looked shaky.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The FPS looked a little on the questionable side, right? Let's see what I've been playing. I've been working a bunch on the side, doing some stuff. Still just setting up for this, last couple weeks, relaxing after the Death Stranding 2 review, because that was a lot of game. Not necessarily a short time, but it's one of those games that if you guys told me you played 30 hours and then somebody else came in and said they played 120, I don't even know if the experience would be that different. I mean, it's pretty iterative on the experience. It's like, you're not going to get a newcomer who just comes through it, let's say 5 or 6 or 50 or 60 hours, isn't going to magically miss shit 120 hours in. You know what I mean? It's like one of those titles that you get it right away. Everybody's probably going to have the same general experiences and cycles. It's just you can loop that one pretty well, especially if you're a vibe player. You like that Zen style of game of just rolling around doing a lot. I'm not going to say a lot of the same shit because that's rude and it sounds like I'm saying that there's something wrong with it. I actually don't think so. But yeah, it's interesting. When we got a super chat, Starless Review, $10 super chat in at the bell. Take my flarkin' money. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Definitely hope you're enjoying your week. Well, it's almost weekend, man. And a well-worn weekend. I feel like I've fought through this week. Johnny and I were talking right before Silver came in.
We got scars. We're
Yeah, it was a rough one. How was your week? How were you guys' week on a buy, wait for a sale? Like never touch.
Silver, you go first.
Wait for a sale, probably.
Wait for a sale?
Yeah, a deep one.
No, deep sale?
Damn deep sale. I'm gonna go with the agreement. Mine was a wait for a deep sale. This was a deep sale. It was a deep sale week. What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, like the bargain or flea market sale.
yeah. Go trade something in for it week, right? Like anything. Sorry, go ahead, Johnny. What were you saying?
No, mine's been wait for a sale. It's been a bit rough, but I feel like I showed up, which is at the end of the day, it's like, because like, dude, I did my workouts. Were they the best ever? No, but again, showed up. I did my work. We're working on this big release. Like, were there some mistakes made that we can learn from. Yeah, for sure. But hey, we had a crack. We showed up.
I love the idea that showing up for a workout could be anything from showing up and doing some reps to showing up and having your Spotify up and just listening to music while sitting on the weight bench.
Procrastinating the whole time.
Rig for Epic says they said the Switch 1 screen is lower refresh than Switch 2 screens lower refresh than Switch 1. I don't remember. I mean, in all honesty, other than I think Mario, which does 120, right? Is Mario a game that can hit 120?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, in all honesty, I love the idea of higher refresh. I'm sure you guys do too, but I don't need in a handheld for the most part. Like I'm okay. I'm going to be one of the old grognards. I'm actually okay with 60 if it saves you some cash and gives you a cheaper result to the
It's more than plenty for me. I'm okay with 30 even quite frequently. So.
Maybe 60 OLED would be a better. Maybe that would be, you know what I mean? Like because OLED already refreshes at the pixel level instantly anyway. It's gray to gray is fast. So it's like maybe do that. And then I don't know if you guys saw this, the dock for the Switch 2. So the dock itself does VRR, transfers it via any other handheld except for the Switch 2. The Switch 2 has VRR when it's not in dock. So handheld, it's got VRR, but for whatever reason, it's not passing it through the dock into TVs. But people were hooking up other systems using that dock, and it did pass it. So that makes you wonder if that's why they posted that VRR would be a thing, and then they quietly went back and said during handheld mode, it's a thing.
That's disappointing.
It's disappointing. It could be a firmware error of some kind where maybe the Switch,
hopefully.
Maybe how the Switch gives data to the... I don't know. That'd be talking on my ass. Yeah, I have no clue. I mean, I do that a lot, but it'd be more than...
Hopefully it can be fixed. On the portable, I think that's the one strength of the high refresh rate is that it is paired with
VRR.
Variable refresh.
Yeah. So that way you can get higher. It feels higher.
You get the smoothness.
Lower feels higher still. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's a good place to be. So we've had some cool questions. We're going to get to all the stuff because we do have a bunch, but I actually thought these were pretty awesome questions. Like the Leaf says, I get that. Like the Leaf says, have you ever turned down, or what is the worst, or I'm thinking he's saying the thing you wish you hadn't ever turned down. So like, have you ever turned down something, a job offer that you wish you had taken the opportunity with? Is there an invite to a party that you wish you had gone to? Is there something that you guys have ever thought back on and been like, I wish I would have taken that opportunity, man? I would, like, whatever that opportunity may be, you just sort of wish you had taken it. Yeah, you got one right away. Go for it.
Yeah, it's like a scar deep in my brain.
Oh, is this a girl?
When
one?
I was, yeah, you knew it instantly. I was very young. I was maybe 8 years old or something. And I was I don't know exactly the age, but somewhere around there. So I was very little. We were at the age where like girls were gross. So we weren't yet like, oh, we like girls. It's like, oh, girls are gross. This girl, super cute girl, liked me. And she was actively trying to like, hang out with me and stuff. And it was cool with the guys to just say like, you girls are gross, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I ended up not like even becoming friends with her or anything. And I've just always regretted it since.
Dude, stock and like I would say there's only a couple things worth getting in early on: girls and stock. That'd be good. That'd be something I'd go and tell my 8-year-old self. I'd be like,
that's
listen,
a good quote right there.
Girls and stocks. If you can get in early, You're gonna be get in there, man. Get in there. If you're an 18-year-old, turn some riz on because you have no clue. I mean, we've heard stories about high school, or not high school, but like middle school sweethearts being married and stuff like that. I mean, one of my friends did marry his middle school sweetheart. She ended up banging somebody else. But long story short, we'll ignore the bad part. Good part is they were married for 20 years.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad part.
Yeah. Well,
we just glossed over. But
well, I didn't really gloss it over. I should have. What about you, Silver? Has there ever been a situation, like a decision that you're like, man, I wish I had taken that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple when you get to be in your 40s and you look back. I mean, certainly there are some moments with girls where you sort of regret not taking the initiative, maybe.
Yeah, right.
But there are also, I mean, there are also just questions about education. Should I have made different choices when I was younger? In hindsight, better choices. Gone down a different path. What would that have looked like? Don't know if those are regrets necessarily, but there are certainly like questions that I ask myself regularly as I look back. Because I was genuinely lost when I graduated, because I was the type of student where pretty much every counselor, every teacher who ever talked to me literally told me you can do anything you want. Like the sky's the limit for you. And that did not help me at all.
Yeah.
Because that basically just meant, oh, you have a million choices ahead of you, a million roads you can go down, and you can only really go down one of them. And yeah, so there are a lot of questions about other potential roads I could have taken. Not that I'm unhappy with the ones I ended up with, but I think that's just the nature of life experience.
Yeah. Well, it's nature of life experience. And also, I mean, technically all roads backwards go to that one point where forward is always going to be limitless. I would say when it comes down to it, I have a tendency to do what you do, where I'm like, I'm pretty happy with what I've done. But there are definitely opportunities that have popped up where I don't know what it is, guys, man. But sometimes I put my foot in the ground. It's almost like I'm working on something. Somebody offers something I know is probably better, but I haven't completed, which I just talked to Johnny prior to the podcast about many projects, and then there's sort of a project timeline where you do your projects. We'll talk about this in game development actually in a little bit. And you have to make that decision, what's good enough. You have to go out and kill the pretty babies. You know, you've spawned all these and you have to decide which one you're going to slice off of the pie.
Yeah.
There were times where somebody would say something, man, and I'd be like, I'm almost there. I'm almost ready to take on. They're like, well, we need you right now, or we'd like to see this right now. And I've turned down like multiple things, whether it be for YouTube, but just life stuff, where a boss was like, we'll pay for all your education, which is funny that you say that, Silver, because mine is also education in a way, because though I did good, I just got into work so quickly, and I was doing so well financially from that. I mean, there were years of being poor, but after a while I was doing so well that you were just like, I'll get to that. And then you hear somebody talk who knows their shit, right? You get the knowledge porn or the competence porn where somebody who's, a scientist or astrophysicist talks, and you're like, shit, that would have been, I almost wish.
Yeah, man, I really wish I had gone to study like anthropology or history.
Oh, dude,
or something.
Yeah, wouldn't that be so good?
Like film and media science,
Yeah, for sure. Good question. I want to thank Likes the Leaf for that. What's up? Jor's in here. David Wilson, Oregon Fresh, Solar Sphincter, Lucitan Mojo, Gibla. The Gibla. That sounds like either a porn name or a killer that you find out is slowly creeping up the Pacific Northwest roads, killing people. And they call him the Gibbler because he cuts them up into pieces and leaves them in different places. The Gibbler. What? You guys have started talking with me? I don't know what that means, Aiden, but thank you very much for showing up. Sully, $10 super chat offering to the Holy Trinity, Carrick, Johnny, and Silver. That is true. With just two of us.
Thank you very much.
We're not even a pyramid. We're
like a tripod
but
with a missing leg. Over. Crooked.
Which, by the way, doesn't work. I've had that before. Lean that against a wall and hope. Let's see. What else do we have? We can get to those later. First up, let's talk about Ghost. So Ghost, they showed, what was it? Was this like a 20-minute?
Yeah, 20
minutes. Around 20 minutes.
Around 20 minutes. We'll switch over to that here. So they showed like a 20-minuter of this, and I don't know about you guys. It looked exactly what I expected, if that makes sense. Like, there was nothing about it that surprised me, nothing about it that made me go, oh, dude, they're in trouble. It was exactly what I was expecting for a Ghost sequel. But I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are. Like, I know Silver was just catching up on it. What about you, Johnny? What'd you think? What'd you think of the presentation? Ultimately, the reason to do a solo presentation like this, and then what'd you think of everything you saw?
Yeah, I think they did a good job selling the world. I'm definitely super excited to explore that. The The details and stuff look amazing. It's rich. The depth of field works great. Like you can see stuff really far away,
mm-hmm.
and they have mist and fog and stuff.
Yeah,
very far away, but looks great from a distance too. Because sometimes those are used to kind of obfuscate or not have to render as much, but actually looked like it was adding detail and not removing. And that was it was cool. I like the usage of that. And they showed a couple of new systems, like the one where you can basically go back in time and experience a flashback version of the location you're in,
mm-hmm.
almost dynamically, which is cool. So instead of like triggering a flashback, you can kind of switch between the two like time frames
mm-hmm.
on the go. Don't know how smooth that's going to be, but I like the idea of that. And then they also have this thing with the clues. So you have these like little cards that pop up, and you kind of like gain information by interrogating people and stuff, and that allows you to pursue different either storylines or quest lines and stuff like that. So I like the way that looks, but I think it's just more of what we liked. So maybe a bigger world, or maybe slightly more interesting to explore is what they're going for, what they're trying to achieve here. And from what I've seen, the combat looks better as well, because you have not only the sword,
mm-hmm.
but you have the I forget what it's called, the ball on a chain, right?
I think there's isn't there Kirsagama in there? But is there what is it? Aragama is the one that's just the. How does that go? Is it got a sickle or a sai at the end?
So,
or is it?
Kusarigama has the sickle at the end with the chain.
You're saying this one isn't?
This one is just like a ball, metal ball on the end with the chain. And you can stealth with that. You can fight with that. The moves are quite different as well. So some good variety in the move set. And it didn't look like we had the rock, paper, scissors from the prior game, which I know you guys, well, I think at least Carrick, you weren't. Yeah, the stances, I think you weren't a big fan of. And certainly was quite limiting, right?
Yeah.
You had to conform to the proper stance. So
that's your thoughts. What about you, Silver? Anything? You were a fan of the original.
Yeah, the main thing, really, I haven't seen the whole thing, but just first impression is it looks a lot more gamified, if that makes any sense.
Makes a ton of sense.
Than the first one, where the first one really sort of emphasized very heavily on immersion, I feel like. This offhand seems to do that much less so.
Mm-hmm.
With going to the bulletin boards and stuff like that, which is a very gamified thing. So it's going to be interesting how that feels for me to play compared to the first one. Where, I mean, really, the first one was like playing through a Kurosawa film. And I hear they're still implementing Kurosawa mode,
mm-hmm.
As well as other modes and cinematic modes in Yotei. But yeah, that's my main concern, because that was one of the most appealing aspects of the first game to me, was just the immersive nature of that game. And so I do find the more gamified aspects of what appears to be in the sequel to be a little concerning.
Yeah, I actually agree with all that. My initial impressions were they wanted to go away from stances by creating stances anyway, but pretending they're not by having them be weapons, which is ultimately going to be this exact same situation. And one of the problems with that, one of the issues that you see right away, is that almost like we were talking about looking back in time, if your game curve involves that kind of situational awareness of understanding what weapon to use or what stance to be in, if you ultimately change it and have it totally freeform in the sequel, it might be a little weird. You could certainly explain it in the fiction that They've gone away from, very traditional stuff and more towards a flowing style with combat. You could do that. But then they went forward and were basically saying this weapon works against this guy, blah, blah, blah. And here's my one thing. In the original game, you basically shuffled your feet for a second and switched stances. In this game, you may be switching weapons a lot. And I'm not 100% sure that's going to be as fluid as they think, as fluid as we see it to be right now. My hope is when you play the game, it's fluid. Don't have any issues. I like the idea of going away from the stances or making the stance more of a suggestion. Here, maybe that's what they've done. But then it ultimately puts us right into the weapon upgrade loop that we've seen in every other game. And that's sort of something else I noticed right away. This is almost tile-based. Windows, Vista or whatever. It's like all these tiles, and there's something about it that it really does feel like it's jumped towards we need to deliver the info directly to the gamer, which I'm going to be honest, one of the reasons why I was more immersed in the original game was because things were a little bit more slow, a little bit more solid in how you had to be in your understanding of the game. It wasn't all given to you. And go for it.
I think the weapon expansion is also a further example of the gamification with the infinite bags of holding that you're carrying around with both spears and double swords and whatever else, right?
Yeah.
Where in the first game, part of the immersion was also that you could see everything that you were carrying as Jin. You could see the sword, the bow, and that was what you had basically. And then the various shinobi gadgets you had. Those were all visible and made sense within the game world. Whereas the shift to a more traditional sort of video game system, where you just have this expansive inventory that you just can't constantly switch through without any sense of how it connects to the character of the world, outside of the system itself, is part of what sort of pulls me out of the experience.
I also want to say I personally felt like if you did a 5 to 6 foot step back, this is just me being honest, guys, because I'll hit on both of them. But if you took 5 or 6 steps back and looked, and I didn't tell you if this was Assassin's Creed Shadows or if it was Ghost, there are a lot of times in this game, because there's a lot of overlap in the time period and stuff, where they did look much more alike than the prior games did, or the prior game did to, let's say, Shadows. There was definitely something in this one that just looked closer to what Shadows did. And I've always felt that Shadows got a shit ton of hate towards it that didn't make sense. Some real, there was definitely difficulty with stuff. There was definitely oddities. But there is a lot of gamification in this one that I think will be an interesting discussion. I'm very interested in it. That's the thing. You can point out, only in gaming can you not point out the problems with something and suddenly you're a hater. It's like, no, I don't hate Zelda just because I didn't like one thing. It's like, it's an interesting discussion to have. But I would say during combat in particular, there were times, well, for example, we actually had somebody in the Discord who's like, is this they didn't know it was a PlayStation stream. They thought it was a Shadows DLC. They were like, oh, is this weird Shadows DLC? But they had it on, they were watching on their mobile and stuff like that. Weirdly enough, the moment I woke up, that was everywhere on the internet. It was like, people were like, whoa, those look alike now. Even some developers were like, that's a very close approximation, which is the problem whenever you put two games in the same, in the same overall time period where they're known for their look so much. Yeah, because, for example, you could do 200 years in the future Cyberpunk and have two totally different looking games, right? Because there's no tied in historical value. Here, of course, you want to be historical. You want to be closer to closer to what they're trying to approximate when it comes to the overall year, when it comes to the overall time frame. Something that Rise of Ronin, weirdly enough, if you look at Rise of Ronin, it doesn't look like these, even though I know there's many years between all of them. It's like you don't see that overlap there, where you definitely see it in Shadows. You see just a lot of similarities. And in their gamesmanship, it's definitely more gamified. Now, that might be good, because the reason why I say that is because maybe they're really hoping to capture the people who love it regardless, who like the original, who played the DLC, but maybe they have some testing that indicates that people just found it impenetrable. I don't know how that'd be possible. I don't think Ghost was near impenetrable. But I could see somebody saying that it was, you know, they didn't like the stances enough that they didn't play. But let's be honest, stances are weapons, weapons are stances, right? That's one of the biggest problems I have, is that people will say something's brand new, and you'll look at it and be like, come on, guys.
Repackaged.
Yeah, it's repackaged. Right. Yeah. So that makes me wonder, you know, a little bit. Christopher,
you know,
hang on, I want to read this super chat. Christopher, $5 super chat. ACG, it looked like a spyglass is the tool we used to find new locations rather than the wind. I saw that too, but I cannot see them going away from the wind being used in some way. If they did that, that would be ballsy and I think stupid. But I'm just going to put myself out there and say, I find that I personally would feel that one of the most beloved things would, to get rid of it instead of augment it, would be crazy cakes. But
especially with how they sort of frame her motivation as being
revenge,
vengeance for the spirits of her family, where, you know, spoilers, but it's revealed in Ghost that the wind is actually the ghost of Jin's father, guiding him.
Maybe the spirit glass, maybe, you know, one of her parents made it.
Yeah, so it makes so in that sense it makes sense that the wind would be the spirits of her family guiding her in similar fashion.
Maybe so. Yeah, it could be. Go for it, Johnny. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. Let's slightly push back on a couple things, like the infinite pockets you were talking about. That doesn't look that way in the trailer. So she has 3 swords, a very long one over her back, which she pulls out when she uses it, puts back in. She's got 2, one normal sized and one smaller one by the waist. She also pulls those out and uses those. And then she can pick up weapons from the ground, like with her feet, she kind of kicks them up and uses them, like a spear or something like that. So it's not like...
You have the spear permanently equipped.
No.
But the Yotei permanently equipped.
That's a lot of people think you do. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see it pick... Now, I don't know how it's going to work in practice. Maybe you are able to eventually always have them in some way. But like in the trailer, it looks like those are situational things where you can pick up those weapons.
Just so you know, in the trailer right now, it just showed the skills bar and it's got like, it looks like 15 weapons, and I think spear's one of them. So you definitely at some point do carry them all. And they are showing times here where she is taking out weapons that she does not have. So there's probably a tertiary weapon. That would be my guess. One tertiary weapon that maybe doesn't show up on your character. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I mean, which is fine. I could have missed it. Like it happens. Like, no, I'm glad you pointed it out. Continue. What was the other, what was the other thing?
Well, the other thing is, while visually I agree that the games look a little bit close, Shadows and this one, I think when you look at the combat itself, I think this is much more detailed and like mechanical. That makes sense. Like your mechanics in the combat seem to matter much more than in Shadows. At least for me, Shadows, I don't know if maybe I'm thinking of the word wrong, but I felt Shadows more gamified than what I'm seeing here. But maybe I'm thinking of that in a different...
I'm thinking more of it visually right now. My hope is that it is more mechanical. But what I'm seeing visually, it is very close because they're trained in the same arts. So it should be close. That's what I'm saying, is like right now, I can see why people are like, what game is this? If they just come in and they're watching on their tablet or their cell phone. Like, I think graphically, there's a sheen to their engine that isn't... Well, okay, admittedly, Shadows is gorgeous. Like, if there's any real issue with Shadows, I don't think it's that. But
it's not that. Yeah.
Right. But no, my hope is that, well, man, I don't know, because when you got high level... See, Shadows was too easy. So that is one of the biggest issues, is like, how is this going to play on normal? Is it going to play like old Ghost did? If so, I would agree with you. It requires mechanics to be better used by the gamer. But if you put Shadows, on hard, then you are talking about a sort of a different situation. And I haven't seen if enemies look up or down here, because they didn't necessarily work well in the original game. There were a bunch of AI issues. Also, we got to see what this camera looks like. Is it going to be the third enemy tier like the original game was? Because if that, honestly, what makes the most difference to me is I want them to have fixed the camera in that piece of shit system, because that camera was dog crap. So, yeah, I would agree with you. I think it could be. I'm more just saying, like, what we see on the screen. Visually. Like, I can see people looking at it and going, "Oh shit," you know. That's especially because
the camera was really tricky because you wouldn't see what's around you, and the camera was completely manual, so it doesn't help you in any way. And so if you have people coming at you from behind, you only really have the sounds to alert you of that, and you constantly have to like be rotating it.
I think the other cool thing is they're doing the black and white mode. They're also doing the lo-fi beats mode. If you're like a lo-fi beats fan, I don't know why they're doing it, but I saw that pop up. So that was almost like a study channel on YouTube kind of thing. I mean, that was out of the blue, but I'm all for it because I do think that's one thing these guys are doing. And a sequel from Assassin's Creed Shadows would do the same thing. So I do want to point this out. They're iterating. There's no revolution, because that would be ridiculous. Like that, it wouldn't even really be possible. So adding in, Silver's favorite mode, then throwing in another mode that weirdly enough is really popular right now. The vibe mode is everywhere, whether it be on the internet, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be programming in games. It's not the same as Zen, and it's not the same as chill, and it's not the same as cozy. It's a different thing. And so the fact that they are doing that here was like, oh, damn. That's actually sort of cool. Like, kudos to them for being able to put something in that's even slightly modern, too, because it takes 5 years to make a game. So, like, the idea that they were able to get it was very cool.
I think part of the immediate first impression disappointment for me is also, I guess I had hoped on some level that's going to fade for sure, but on some level I had hoped that with the shift to a female protagonist, we would see, like, a greater emphasis on weapons like Naginatas or Yari.
Yeah. I agree.
Because just so much of samurai entertainment and like video games and stuff is just focused nearly exclusively on the katana to the point where I'm kind of so tired of it. I really just want to see alternatives.
Yeah.
Especially because those alternatives were very prevalent. It's just we don't really see that presented in popular culture. So having a greater emphasis on that is something I absolutely would have loved. So it feels a bit like a wasted opportunity to me to not have that. But that's purely a misalignment of my unreasonable expectations.
And also oh my God, even the fucking swinging is identical. Anyway, I think it's also just what we're seeing. Because we don't know what's going to happen, like how she's going to move. I think that's one of the things that people liked or disliked in Shadows was the difference in movement, whoever you were. So it'll be interesting to see how she moves. Does it feel like just Jin? Or does it feel like there's something else there that's almost like a difficult to describe difference in the feeling?
Just feel like a different skin transposed onto Jin
that's
Sakai.
That's what we're hoping doesn't happen. I don't think it will. I think that I trust them to understand. I say this and then I get burned all the time, but I'm going to say I do trust them to be able to, put that in there. But at the same time, it is a sequel. And we've seen the same with Spider-Man 2, where I saw a lot of people go into Spider-Man 2 and it sort of got some of the same reception. Oh, okay. And then you have to remember, hey, it's Spider-Man 2. It's not called The Punisher. It's not going to have a completely different fucking character. What do you think he's going to stop web swinging? Like, of course not. So, but it's hard, because especially the expectations are which we're going to talk about in a second. Expectations are so high, and comparisons have put the entire game industry into innovation collapse right now. Like, because we carry every single example forward into the next game and the next game and the next game, and it's definitely becoming an issue. I saw somebody posting Ghost, and they were like, they did 10 things they liked and 10 they didn't, and I swear to you, the 10 that they didn't like were from 10 different games. And I was like, if I was a developer, that'd be scary as shit, And this happened with books, certainly 1980s, 1990s fantasy books, 2000 to 2010. A lot of sci-fi had this, where people felt innovation was starting to collapse. And then different authors came forward and were like, let's tweak this, let's adjust this so it branches out, like Roguelike did or like Dark Souls did. So, it's to be expected that in some way there's some stuff that feels the same.
Yeah.
Jay Reaper, cheers, boys. What's up? Thanks for the $10 super chat. Jay, hope you're doing good. Whatever you're doing today. I guess you probably wouldn't be at work, would you? 11? No, I guess not. I always liked how this is Eternal. I always liked how Ghost gave us the option for real-time animations to run while in photo mode too, and capture the perfect shot. Oh, he says I also liked how this one does that. That's cool. So what's it do? Like animation? We've seen that before, like animation of the world around you. Make sure your exposure and everything is at its set so you don't get blur, but you can have some people walking around or something.
So like mid combat, you could take some amazing shots because you would freeze it and you would be like, you know, swinging, having the blood.
Okay. Yep. Very cool. I'm expecting to see that. I think from them, I'm expecting to see them pushing whatever technical stuff they can. Like, honestly, this company is one of the few companies where I'm like, I'll just wait because 99% of what they deliver on quite well. You sort of know I know that there was an issue with Japanese lip sync in the last game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There was a huge problem there. Yeah. It was because of the real-time generation taking a while or something like that. I think it was only on the PS5 Pro where it was fixed, but it sounds like that's been fixed. So that's good. That's what's so weird. Such an odd thing. You know, we talk about resolution and we talk about blah, blah, blah. And somebody's like, actually, real-time lip deformation takes a lot of CPU. You're like, okay, well, that's another one we can chalk up as being something we didn't expect to hear. Oregon Fresh says, I didn't like the first one. Not my shtick. I get it. Yeah, I get it. I mean, these aren't for everybody, right? Like, that definitely. Sure. I mean, it's a samurai world and it's in history, and I know a lot of people who are much more into European knights.
And it's an open world game. Requires a lot of time investment.
Yeah, it's not going to be small in that way, right?
And there's another pervasive type of rock, paper, scissors that comes up here, which is the color-based attack. So when enemies attack you, you see a color code that tells you, I'm assuming, do I have to parry? Do I have to dodge? Do I have to whatever? And personally, I find that really disappointing. That was something I disliked in Shadows and other games. And
turn it off.
Those aren't the only ones. For me, I want to be able to respond in several ways to an attack.
Yeah.
Let me dodge it or parry it or, maybe counter or whatever. Give me the options, because this idea that there's only one answer to this attack, and if you don't use the correct answer, you're basically shit out of luck. I dislike that. I find that similar to the stances, very limiting, you know?
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Breath of the Wild, is that you can choose to either parry or
it's free form, right?
Any attack.
Yeah.
I think with here, especially, we're just seeing the way these games. I mean, we are retreading territory that was already retreaded in the PS2 days, which is like samurai sword fighting. At some point, it's more about everything coming together versus like any one thing being revolutionary, which to me is fine. Depends on your age. I have a friend who's never played Ghost, just sort of got into gaming the last 5 years, wants to play it. It was on the list to play. Didn't get a chance to play it. Very excited for this. Then I've seen people who've been playing for a while, very excited. I've also seen people who've played for a while who are like, doesn't seem like it's going to do enough for them to want to jump into. It's just the way gaming goes, especially an industry this old, when you have a lot of people who feel like, especially with these kind of games, the sequel isn't like as stretchy as they want. And I'm like, listen, I don't know exactly what you want. I heard somebody say, oh my God, the story is the same story we've heard a bunch of times. I'm like, number one, it's because it speaks to humans. That's revenge. Sorry. This speaks to everybody. It's the way it is. Plus, what has it been? 2,000 years when we're using the same story plots that fucking, they originally identified.
Yeah. Going back to the Odyssey.
So it's like at some point you just have to sort of assume. I would have liked a different style of. I heard the story, heard the trailer, looked up some data, and I was like, okay, we just have to see how it's done, because you know what? Some of my favorite movies are very basic plots that have been regurgitated a billion times. John Wick, for instance. John Wick's one of my favorite movies of all time, and you could not describe a movie that has been replicated more. And I mean before. Sorry, I should have said that. I shouldn't say replicated. I mean prior to that, an entire 1980s block of 20 years in only a 10-year time span. It feels like 20 years worth of movies, all had to do with the guy coming back from the dead, whether it be a Payback or Man on Fire. Those are a little later.
Yeah.
Come on.
All the different adaptations we've seen of Hamlet or whatever.
I mean, yeah. I mean, dude, Sons of Anarchy is quite literally Hamlet on motorbikes. Yes. Like, it is Hamlet. Yeah. It even has the same narrative turns. So you just, because those things work. I thought the world looked cool. Saw somebody saying something about frame rate. I'm not worried about frame rate. It's trailer. When I see good frame rate, doesn't mean we'll see good frame rate in the game because they can touch it up, or they're playing on dev systems. And you see bad frame rate in a trailer, not too worried because I think somebody said there was a single drop in it, which just goes to show how much analysis every gamer goes through now to identify where they're going to spend their bucks. It's like now we're like, dude, this thing has to deliver perfect frame time, perfect FPS, perfect everything. So showing some mini games here, looks like identical mini games, a little bit of bathing. Now, can I just say it? Listen. They better show her ass. Because they showed his.
We want equality here.
If you believe in equality, you need to make sure. If they don't, I will be shocked, but I will also not be surprised. I want to see. That'll be the first thing I check when reviewing it. Does she show her ass when she's getting in and out of the bathtub? It's the most important thing. It's not a bathtub, but you get my drift.
That'll be the title of the review.
Yeah. Yes,
whether it was shown or not.
Yeah, whether it was shown or not. She does not show her ass. Christopher, sorry, that's my door. Christopher Jetser, $10 super chat. The one worry I have is when I saw that during combat, an icon popped up to press triangle and square. I don't remember that in Ghost of Tsushima 1. Overall, I don't want to be pulled out of combat. Listen, you can turn these off. I don't think there's a game now where you really can't turn off the icons at some point. I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. I wouldn't even stress it. You'll be able to turn them off and play the way you want to play. If the timing is tight and based on those icons, that could be rough. Or if their animation isn't good. But from what I've seen here, animation looks about what you would expect. I think you'll be able to figure it out. A lot of slow motion, though.
On Johnny's point about unblockable attacks, just because I realized how much they actually have annoyed me over the past couple of years in these games. Especially because when you play the higher difficulties, like I do, enemies really, really start to spam them. Like, it becomes almost the norm of their attacks, unblockable attacks. And this is especially true of some of the Assassin's Creed games, I will say, also. And enemies can rarely be staggered out of them, so a lot of the time, it just makes the combat that much more tedious, where you're just either running around avoiding them or dodging them, looking for the tiny window, and it really just drags the fights out even further, coupled with them having more health. That the unblockable attacks rarely contribute anything meaningful or rewarding to the actual combat, in my experience.
Well, what if they weren't unblockable? So you're saying unblockable attacks towards you that are unblockable. Yeah,
that can't be parried. You have attacks you have to dodge.
Right.
The only counter to them is dodging and moving out of the way.
I guess I would say, weirdly enough, I'm bothered more if I attack and they can block regardless. Does that make sense? So weirdly enough, I'm on the opposite side, where I'm a little bit more bothered when I hit them. No damage is done. There's no stagger because they have a particular strength against whatever, and they just shirk it off 1,000 times. So both sides of the story, I guess, is where they're going to have to sort of meet us in the middle and see what they can do. But yeah, I would agree with that. Thank you very much, Jetser. We appreciate it. I do think you'll be able to turn this off. Be so surprised. Sorry. So surprised if you can't turn that off. I mean, these guys know generally what they're, not with cameras, but with everything else, they know what they're doing. Not with cameras. They need to fix their shit because their camera's dog. They show nothing of stealth in this game. Interesting. So, John, they do. Weirdly that I'm reading this right now, they literally just showed stealth for a moment, but I will actually agree with you that they don't show it as much. I did notice that. They show her hiding in some trees, in some grass on the way into a base. I think that'll still be there, right? I mean...
Yeah. And funny enough, like the stealth...
The whole ghost thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Johnny. What were you saying?
Funny enough, in the stealth segment, she stealths a little bit, only to then reveal herself in an extremely loud chain ball attack
every time. Let me tell you how unrealism is much better than realism. Any of the chain weapons. Because the first time you hit somebody, the chain would lose all of its energy and the ball would drop to the ground. No matter if you killed them or not, it would not go through them. But what looks the coolest? Swinging that in a 75 hit combo as it suddenly quantum leaps through their body, but still delivers damage to them, right? We don't want that replaced. So whenever I talk about like, oh, I wish this was fixed or I wish this was fixed, I could point out 1,000 things I don't want ever fixed, and that would be one of them. Swinging a weapon. Yeah. And same thing would happen with swords. You'd hit somebody and it would bounce off their armor 90. In fact, all the unblockable hits that I'm talking about against enemies, that would be your fight. You'd just be chipping away, hoping to get their armpit, right? Hoping to stab them. Exactly. So you don't want that, you know.
With armor on people.
You want that in one of those other games, right? You want that in one of those.
Yeah.
Might as well not even wear armor. Yeah.
Yeah, might as well at that point, right? Because it's lighter. I mean, and you did hear of a lot of people who were like, you know, I'm going to forego all this heavy shit because at least then I can move around. I mean, especially back then when they were trained to strike those parts, stuff like that.
Yeah, so, I mean that was why armor died in the Age of Gunpowder, right?
Yeah.
Didn't make any difference.
Yeah, you can't run very fast, and you could run as fast as Usain Bolt. You ain't outrunning even the slowest bullet, man. Let's see. Ghost is really good, but the enemies got repetitive. Once you knew their moveset, yeah. Personally, I'm sick of Souls combat, so I found Ghost to be a breath of fresh air. I don't necessarily know if I think I understand that comment, but I mean, I feel like didn't Ghost have, I mean, you had the Kirsagama thing where you could not Kirsagama, I'm sorry, the mode, the black and white mode, what's his name?
Kurosawa.
You had that mode, which, you know, was basically instant kills. It was not.
No, that was independent. That was a difficulty mode. You could.
Oh, that's what I did. Yeah, you're right.
Brutal,
you're right.
I think it was.
Yeah.
No, lethal mode.
Lethal.
I think it was.
That was
lethal
awesome.
Difficulty.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
It was
this isn't Dark Souls though. So.
Awesome and underwhelming. The main problem with it,
at the same time,
in my experience, was that it completely made combos pointless.
Yeah.
Because it was only 1 or 2 slashes and the combat was over, so you never really got to execute any combos. Really,
I feel like at the exact time that is how real life would be: 1 or 2 slices,
yeah,
against a guy who knows what he's doing, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
John says, I'm hoping more build variety in this game as opposed to unlock every node style skill. They had a lot of skills though, and it looked like it. So, but we'll have to see. We'll just have to see. From what I saw, hey, looks super interesting. Looks pretty much exactly as I expected. Graphically, it looked awesome. They got special modes in it. They got a bunch of stuff. There's no, you know, what did they do for DLC? They did the multiplayer mode, and then they did a DLC, right? They did 2 for Ghost.
Yeah, it was an island DLC, like a full new location, explaining some more of the backstory and stuff.
Yeah,
about the father.
And there was the free multiplayer DLC.
That's what it was.
Legends.
Yeah, that's what you, myself, Johnny, and Reg played. Isn't that the one we all played? That was fun, man. That was different, and it felt different. If it like had a different tact to that feel, which is always nice when you jump into multiplayer and it's not just a replication, especially for a title like this where it makes more sense that it's not. Many say this game has become popular in 2025, and players now incline towards old games. Is that true or not? I would say saying gamers and anything is not true, because we are a contentious, bitchy bunch. I would say it seems like, I mean, we're seeing like huge titles. I mean, I wouldn't say that Death Stranding is an old game, and it seems to be doing quite well. So I feel like overall there's a market for anybody as long as people feel that they're respected and their money is their version of money is going.
Gamers have always been inclined towards old games. Retro gaming has always been.
Yeah, well, anything historic. I mean, there's a reason why people who like books now are still reading the classics, right? It's just the way it works. I mean, humans. Old music, new music. I'll be talking to somebody about brand new music and be like, when I was listening to fucking Clearwater Revival, and you're like,
or Louis Armstrong,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, I would say in a way, yes, but only yes because it's always like that. Oops, let me put our Discord back. Give me 1 second. Boom. All right. So let's go back to the normal open and we'll get rid of that video. All right.
But by the way, you mentioned sequels before. I heard a take that I thought was kind of out of whack, and I want to run it by you guys. I saw that someone was saying that sequels are like a guaranteed win, and that you're basically guaranteed to succeed. And they're talking about like Death Stranding 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I think they mentioned 1 or 2 others. Isn't that the wrong conclusion to take? Isn't it simply that those are good games in and of themselves? Isn't it the wrong conclusion to take that sequels work? No, I mean, that's kind of a correlation and not a causation.
Yeah, go ahead. So
I don't think it's the entire causation, but I do think, there's a reason why publishers are so willing to bank on sequels, because you have a known quantity there. It's a safer bet than going with a new original IP. So I think that's very much a thing, and I think that's very much a safer bet, and that's the sort of reigning popular sentiment in the industry, is that you go with something safer when you go with a sequel to an already popular game. Now, does that mean the sequel is a guaranteed success? No. Not at all.
Right, the game has to be good at the end of the day. Like,
yeah. Unless there are very specific circumstances, for sure. I very much agree with you. I think there might be exceptions with an IP that's like underwhelmingly or overwhelmingly popular or iconic, where a sequel is almost by definition guaranteed to sell a lot of games. Like I think pretty much regardless of what they do, the next Zelda game is going to sell a whole lot of games just by virtue of being a Zelda sequel or being a new Zelda game in that IP, for sure. For instance, right? But I think also the body of work up until that point does also indicate that there is a certain level of expectations in terms of quality and whatnot that's associated with that brand and with that IP that informs the success of those sequels or those further iterations. Like Tears of the Kingdom unquestionably was helped by being marketed as a sequel to Breath of the Wild and the success of Breath of the Wild. I have no doubts about that at all.
I mean, and I would go so far as to say that technically you could also, in a smaller segment of this, spin it the other way and say that the expectations of a sequel almost always require more money than the original. Not always. People used to assume it was easier to roll out a sequel, but especially as tech advances, a lot of the tech can't be used. A lot, there's all kinds of stuff, and then the expectations. But this is just the same way as an IP from Disney. If you're going to make a Disney game, you have a higher chance if that IP group comes over and plays games, they might play that game. That's sort of a normal thing. But the number of failed sequels out there is insanely high. Whether it be movies, books, whatever, because a lot of times what is delivered before the cycle of expectation has been met. So if you do your first game and you're the first to do Ghost, nobody else has done it, so it's got new, blah, blah, blah. It's its own thing, game releases. If you do it 5 years from now, there is a very good chance if your game was successful enough to get a sequel, it's successful enough to be copied. Meaning, if you don't beat the competitor to the market 3-4 years down the road, you have 3 or 4 other copies of your game. Now you're being judged against your own IP, the new IPs, and your secondary IP, and the story you're delivering. Does it continue? Sort of what we're talking about right here. I agree with the risk. Maybe not. I feel like if I was at a company, we'd be talking about risk on both sides. But I would definitely say the expectation of monetary return on a good sequel is going to be higher than the mysterious expectation of income on a title no one's played before, and you're hoping it catches fire. especially now. I think that's pretty fair, and it does speak to what we'll talk about.
A recent example of a sequel that failed was Payday 3.
Yeah,
where
spectacularly.
Payday 2, hugely popular game with a very, very significant community, very dedicated and loyal to that game.
EverQuest 2,
where Payday 3 just didn't land.
Entire MMO systems have failed, Silver. Like when you look at MMOs, EverQuest.
Yeah.
What was that? The Microsoft one. Oh man, I used to play this so much. I can't believe I can't remember its name, but its sequel died out super quick. Sequels, they need some stuff, and if they don't hit, I think gamers have a tendency to look at it and be like, well, that's not for me. I like the original. Death Stranding had a risk, by the way. I think we can all agree. At least I feel this way. If you played at to the end of Death Stranding 1, you could look at that and be like, why are they making a number 2? Which is what Abzi brought up on the podcast when we saw the trailer. He's like, listen, I love the first one, but I have way less interest in returning to this than I ever would if it was a new thing. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, because now I'm more interested because it looks like they might have fixed some of the things I disliked about the first. So then you have that branch again. So yeah, it's a good discussion to have. And it dude, nothing in gaming nothing in sequelitis, nothing in anything is laid down in stone. Certainly not like what that person was saying, because yeah, that's a bad take to just try to be like, yeah, it's a guaranteed win. It's like, damn. I mean, I feel like we've seen so many indications to where that's not true.
Because you need both. You need the game to be good.
Yeah, I mean, you could go so far as to even say Fallout 4 compared to Fallout 3. Now,
sure,
there's some definite questions there, because Fallout 1 and 2 were certain viewpoint, and a lot of people view Fallout 3
very different games
as not a sequel in the sequel sense. Sorry. That was awesome.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
Guys, yeah. Stunt cam. That was that was great. But yeah, it's a good discussion to have, but it's not one that's locked in stone. Nothing else for this. Let's see. What else do we have for Ghost? I think $60. Did they say the price for Ghost? Ignoring the piece of shit sticker on the PlayStation controller for your special edition. Sorry. Just going to call them out for that. Fuck you. But I wonder what the game's price is going to be.
I would be very surprised if it wasn't 70.
70? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm seeing here £70 on the PlayStation Store.
Pounds. All right.
Yeah.
It's the size of a small middle schooler.
I mean, Sony moved that up to be their default pricing for PS5 games, didn't they?
Yeah, but do you know what I thought just a little bit? Is that they might, do the old look at us and do it $10 cheaper. I'm literally just like making up discussions, but like, hey, yeah, look at us, look at what we're going to offer. I mean, because you could do that. You could try to go for the throat kind of thing and be like, look at us. But let's talk a little bit about, in particular, the art of the video game sequel. So we did, let me verify that this is going to work here. Did a little bit of study on the side here for the art of the video game sequel. Let me get this solidified, and we will discuss it a bit. And we'll move so we don't cover Johnny's face. That's weird. Game doesn't like him. Game didn't like him. All right, so a little bit of whoa. But then it shrunk us. There we go. That was awesome. So a little bit about some study and discussion about the art of the video game sequel. So when they studied, they went out, they talked to a bunch of people about why you make a sequel, why you don't make a sequel, what you look for, what you don't look for. Very interesting stuff, because most of it is sort of in agreement. But do you know what one of the biggest things is that for gamers, we have a tendency to focus on money. Meaning money is time, probably a Western society kind of discussion more than anything, but where we're like, okay, so if this took this amount of time, it's this amount of money. For developers making these games, weirdly enough, they are somewhat separated, and it makes sense. So for a discussion on this, if you have a 10-year time pattern, senior future of releasing games, if you can do a sequel and then 2 other games, 4 years, get a sequel in there. In 2 years, you're good to go. You have 3 games in your 10-year pattern. You have 2 completely new games. Maybe it's 5 years, and you only get 2 games. So they had a tendency, developers that were asked had a tendency to sort of separate time and money, and the idea that, you know, they are in ways sort of separated from the way I think we all discuss them. Whoops, let me put us back. So why make a sequel came up. A sure bet with a built-in audience guaranteed sales. And this has been proven wrong. This was one of the, these right here are reasons why companies chose. The next was reduced marketing risk, leveraging existing brand recognition. So that's a good one. The idea that you can have your PR work for you and save some money on your PR side. So back in the day, it used to be 50-50. I don't know if anybody's heard us talk about this, but it used to be that if your game cost a certain amount, your PR would be identical. So it'd be, you know, 50 million. Movies have worked on this for years. Influencers, stream, that sort of changed. It's gone down a little bit. Even though an influencer may take $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to stream your video, it's still going to be less expensive than putting a poster up in Brooklyn for a fucking Spider-Man or something, you know, putting shit up on subways and hoping that you get the right person. See, that's the thing, man. Back in the day, remember, you'd get a magazine that had 1,000 ads, and you'd probably see 2 ads that mattered to you. If you walk around in downtown, you're probably going to see a lot of ads, but how many speak to you? Maybe 1, maybe 5. But if you go to a streamer with a built-in audience of a particular type, you are quite literally buying the hope of that entire audience niche coming in there. And I think that that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't mean awesome that it's being done because I hate it. I'm saying I think it's awesome that they discuss this. Iterative improvement, refining successful formulas, and responding to player feedback. This to me is like one of the things that I want to shout out developers for, because we can bitch, and I will, about all the shit I see that I hate. But I do want to say, ignoring the Kickstarter, ignoring the, hey, this is early access, we want to work with you, you know, blah, 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 which a lot of times I feel like is a personal loan they're just taking from me, you know? I'm like, dude, seriously, I feel like you're just taking my money, and, you know, how do I know you'll listen? But a sequel inherently has that built in, where they will, I mean, it is a sequel. It's quite literally building on the last one. So taking in player feedback and stuff, I think is even almost more guaranteed on a sequel, unless you have a developer who doesn't want to do that. I'm trying to think of anybody who's like really changed it up. You could say Fallout 2 to Fallout 3 when they went first person. I think that was a pretty big change. Streamlined pre-production, core concepts, vision, and team already established, making it easier to sell to funders. That was something that, of course, makes sense, and I had not thought of until I saw the research. I was like, duh, if you're trying to get your 20 million again, or 40 million, you can say, look at what we have already. We've built this. We've done this. It's proof of a resume almost. Well, it is a resume.
Yeah.
Where you say, we've done this. So, and these are the things that we want to build in the future. I love the idea of that. I hadn't thought about it. Challenge of a new IP is high financial risk, inherently speculative, which is what we talked about. Intensive or more intensive pre-production, prototyping, funding, just to define the core concept. And that churn, we've talked about churn before, where like, how many times have you hated it when a boss gives you too much freedom? I'm going to be honest. It's happened to me all the time, where a boss is like, you want to work on something? Here's 10 ideas. And you're just like, I mean, I feel like I can't really get going. It's like, let's pare this down to maybe 3 babies that are really cute, because otherwise, you know, every baby starves if there's not enough milk across all 5 teats, as they say. Sorry. Market saturation, extremely difficult to gain visibility against sequels with massive marketing budgets and internal hurdles. Hard to establish a shared vision on a new IP. Hadn't thought about that. That makes sense. Like, difficult to get everybody to understand what you're making. Like, if we all came together and I said, hey, Johnny, Silver, let's do this on the podcast, there's a high chance that we would all have a different idea, and it would take a while to align, because there's nothing we can point at, you know, and say,
there's a set of expectations or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Marketing costs versus key savings. So they were talking about the marketing costs still. Estimated marketing cost for a AAA that's over like 150 to 200 million is still 300 million now. it requires still the same amount of output in marketing. That's like ridiculous. So anywhere from a match to 50%. So $300 million game, 150 marketing to get your return. That's insane. Makes you wonder sometimes when you guys tell me you haven't heard of a game. I'm like, where did their marketing budget go? Like, you know, if this is a AAA game, like, where the fuck, who's hearing about this game? You know, I guess it's on Amazon or something. We all have ad blockers too, guys. This is a huge change in the media. In the past, a commercial would play. That was it. The ad company bought the commercial played, and your fat ass, if you're me, your fat ass was sitting there and you had to watch that commercial. Now you can pay to ignore the commercial, which means the data between the advertiser who pays for the commercial and who watched it and was impacted by it is completely broken, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is quite interesting.
And it explains what you said, like using streamers more and going, so you're kind of cutting the middleman instead of having these ad slots. You're directly going to the content itself and injecting your product in there.
Yeah. And so this also talks about one thing that we're going to discuss. I'm going to discuss on a video separately, but I want to discuss here, which is basically the innovation paradox. Let's see. Rory's talked about it. A couple ad people have talked about it. But basically what happens is, so for example, the first 5 cell phone generations are quite heavy on the hype and quite unrealistic on the expectations, but quite generous on what you get, because people feel they're investing in a new technology. They're investing in a new whatever. And as you continue to grow the market and the age of the market, those expectations get higher, but also so does the hype get lower, and basically the expectations that it will deliver a base level get higher. And so there's these tiers that become out of order, especially as an industry matures. I think our industry feels like it. You know, you hear about them talking about like games and talk about maturing. I feel like with games, one of the reasons why maybe it didn't mature as fast or it's taken this long is simply because of the nerddom that existed for 10 or 15 years when it first started. A way almost like D&D did, where only the people who talked about it were the nerds, if that makes sense. So there wasn't, you know, it was sort of a hidden thing. And as it's become more, I mean, it's accepted, right? Like everybody's playing games, you know, whether it be Superstar, it's like it's become more of an accepted norm. We've matured quite quickly to the point, and what I mean by maturity isn't that everybody's walking around in suits. It means that the expectations and everything have solidified more, and you have a more mature expectation. It moves forward as a block versus these separate bits. I thought this was interesting. They were talking about agile development. I mean, you know, what do you guys use at your company? Agile, waterfall?
Agile mostly.
Okay. So games used to use waterfall. I don't know many. I mean, waterfall's not very, you can't really go back and do anything with a waterfall development. I think maybe one person on his own would do waterfall development style. So that people understand agile, it goes back and can iterate while developing, right? Isn't that sort of the description of agile, is that you can basically go back and inject improvements or changes at an easier pace, where waterfall development is like, we're starting here, we're ending here.
Yeah, so you have this idea of the sprints, which are units of work of maybe 2 weeks, where at the beginning of each sprint, you assess how the prior one went. Maybe you pivot on some goals, some priorities, and now the next sprint maybe looks a little different. You're maybe focusing other things based on the results of the prior one. So it's the idea that you're reacting in a, agile way to how the project is going.
Yeah. And then the Goldilocks zone of innovation. This is what I wanted to talk about. So successful sequels adhere to the Maya principle, most advanced yet acceptable. They must innovate enough to be exciting, but not so much they alienate the existing fan base. That is...
Okay, that's cool.
That is so fucking true, though. Like, I mean, when you think about it, it sort of goes to what Silver was saying. I think it also goes to just the what we expect. If it's called a sequel, it should have some connections. But I agree with what Silver was saying, is that at the same time, it can also lead to like a feeling that you don't risk as much, that kind of stuff. So here's go for it.
But just to riff on that real quick, that's a cool framework that something would be too innovative, or maybe like
exactly,
reminds me of that movie like Back in the Future, where the guy's playing the guitar and he's like, people aren't ready for this. He's playing this
that's
blues.
exactly right. People aren't ready for this, but get back to me in 50 years, your parents will love it, or your kids will love it. That is exactly it. And it is funny because you could say that titles like No Man's Sky started out prior to that innovation even being, it just didn't work. And then as they've continued to go on, they've hit it to where it's like, okay, it's advanced, and it's also, there is some innovation there, but we're also looking at a time where I think maybe we're starting to see a little pullback, which might indicate what the person was saying about going back to older games. I think sometimes too much innovation can lead to not necessarily analysis paralysis,
but the opposite
reaction
as well.
Yeah. So this is talking about successes and failures. So the titles on here I did not expect. So they have a group of titles. This is awesome. So, for example, Mass Effect Andromeda, development hell manifested, suffered from technical issues, weak writing, lack of clear direction. Technically the opposite of what a sequel should have when you think about it. Like, sequel should technically, that's almost where you would expect those to be, which is why the reaction to that game was even higher than some other games. For example, Cyberpunk 2077. They labeled it as a callback kid, overcame a disastrous launch through sustained strategic updates, transparent community engagement, and a major expansion that restored its reputation. I think that's a really good indicator of how you do it, too, if you're gonna. And then Fallout 76, rebuilding trust, recovered from a nearly broken launch through major post-launch expansions and clear commitment from Bethesda to fix and improve the core. So can we also... No, they said... No, sorry, this isn't just talking about that. This is now talking about innovation. And when you push too far. But I want to talk about one thing. It feels like all of these that do have a bit of a redemption arc all have the exact same framework, which is that they invest in the community as if they're making a sequel, but it's actually for that game. And I think there's something tangible there. I haven't been able to identify it. I've talked to some devs. I'm being like, what would be the difference between we're doing a sequel versus we have a game that's so bare bones, Sea of Thieves, for instance. I feel we could use Sea of Thieves in this instance. What are we going to build?
Or No Man's Sky.
In No Man's Sky, yeah. What are we going to build that almost appears like it's in a sequel, but we need to over deliver now, where maybe prior to that they felt they could under deliver. Like especially a Mass Effect. I feel like Mass Effect, something about that feels like they didn't think people were going to care. That it was just like Mass Effect was going to sell it, which goes to what Johnny's friend had said.
I think the problem you run into there also, which is, I think, a problem that's been plaguing Sea of Thieves the last couple of years and Total War Warhammer, is that as you start piling on stuff, you make the game inherently more unstable.
Division 2, same thing. Agreed.
And so the more you pile on, the more difficult it also becomes to keep piling on.
Yeah.
Because then the more you have to retrofit in order to pile on.
Yeah.
And so there are currently a lot of frustrated people with Creative Assembly and Warhammer 3 right now, because the latest update is taking them a long time, and each update is taking them longer and longer to do. But I think that's simply a product of how much stuff is in there now and how much stuff has to be retrofitted to fit with the new stuff so that it doesn't break. So I think you are also sort of damning yourself in a way by constantly putting stuff in there, because it's going to get bloated, especially with the coding, and
right.
And depending on the coding base and coding language and whatnot you use, that's going to present a lot of potential issues down the line as you keep putting in more stuff.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And last but not least, the new game plus or live service revolution, connecting the two. New game plus, they're talking about something different. But if you look at, in particular, games as a service, I think the idea for a lot of games as a service is we don't want to do a sequel. Like, why? Like, can we just do the one and build on it?
Yeah, be the forever game. Yeah,
forever game. But they fit right into what Silver was saying, is that at some point, every live service game, I'm sorry, everyone I even love, it's a mess. It's a mess of icons and tabs and filtering out the old stuff versus the new. Oh, you can do the new stuff, but only in this time frame because it's, you know, it overlaps with some new story they did. World of Warcraft has the same issues. Any of these, they still got their set fans, but I do understand where people are coming from. Where I understand where a company is like games as a service. I'm talking about people who want to deliver a good one real quick, and there are people who want to deliver a good one. So you're trying to deliver a great, you know, game as a service because your idea.
Another one.
What'd you say?
Warframe is another one.
Warframe is a good example. I mean, Final Fantasy is a good it's an MMO, but it's a game as a service. You know, they overlap. But yeah, man, I don't know. I sort of like the idea of understanding where somebody wants to go. It's like, hey, man, we could keep people employed, continue doing this, but at the same time, you run into the same problems a sequel runs into. Even if a single game goes for a certain amount of time, it will inevitably run into the exact same problems as a sequel will over a period of time, which is like, are you innovating? How do you move things? What do you change? Where's your investment? Like, it's interesting to think about it, that no matter what, at a certain point, you run into this particular situation regardless. Like,
and from what I hear from Sims players who have all the expansion stuff and whatnot, The Sims has that as well, where it becomes so unstable. The game becomes so unstable when you have all the stuff together. That's out for Sims 4 now.
Or you're like me, who buys it on 2 separate stores and doesn't realize it. Wah, wah. I was with Reg in chat, and I bought a lot of DLC one day. Remember. Going, man, I'm gonna go ahead and sit down. And then I bought one, and my brain saw one of the little blurbs about it, and I was like, why does that seem familiar? And I was all, oh shit! And I went to another account, and it was all there. And I was like, damn it. Go ahead, Johnny. What were you saying?
Well, it's interesting that some games are doing the games as a service thing without necessarily being a game. You know, we talked about No Man's Sky. That's a one-time purchase. It's not like you're
correct.
You know, in an MMO style. And I mean, they have these content patches that serve as events or expansions, you know, like a similar type of hype compared to when, let's say, Final Fantasy XIV releases a new expansion, right? That's a big thing, a big event. In some ways, some of these other games are doing that, are kind of like trying to copy paste that as well.
I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that they choose to not do that because they know that the original game is going to be $60, $50, whatever, and that they may not get the DLC purchases, but if they do big expansions, they will get the original game purchase enough that it will cover it, and they just decide step away from, because they're getting sales no matter what. People think it's out of charity, and you're like, did you go look at the sales for that game? There's no charity going on. And sometimes the game doesn't go on sale. So you're still looking at a $50, $60 game. And if you get let's say you get 10 people buying $1 worth of DLC, it's nowhere near one person buying the game digitally for $60. Like, that's ridiculous. The numbers don't even met out. So it feels like both avenues are right. I think one feels better, right? I think we can all agree. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, but I think we can all agree.
The one with free content?
Yeah, the one with free content that makes you want to but makes newcomers want to jump into the game and replay or cover different platforms, like if they're not crossplay. You know, that is one thing. I would say crossplay and cross save are going to make that kind of situation more difficult, because I don't know about you guys. I have bought the same game if it's not crossplay because I want to play with friends or something, and that'll go away as we continue to see the cross save and cross play sort of become a thing of the past, become a thing of the future. But yeah, I thought those were really good indicators. I was really happy to see somebody having done that report. Oops, I got to turn off Ghost. But yeah, it was interesting to see what the thoughts were on some of those and the ideas of how, especially the timeline sort of lines up, even if it's not a sequel. Long-term game, sequel, game as a service, MMO. Ultimately, they always run into the same situation at some point, which is the iteration and, innovation, trying to define where they stand in today's market. Rig says Dune is already a ghost town. We'll talk about it. Dune had a patch that nuked the world. Did you guys see this? We'll get to this in a second. We'll jump to that actually next. Wizard of Chat, $5 super chat. A super chat because you said something nice about 76. Happy Friday, friendos. Can I just actually point out I didn't say something nice? I read a report that said something nice. I'm teasing you.
Indirectly.
Indirectly. Let me look this up. So Dune patch.
Vicariously.
Yeah, I was living vicariously through somebody who gives a shit. Listen to this. By the way, that's a joke. Dune's... Okay, so let me find this. This patch was ridiculously bad. I think it might be in my link here. Dune patch. PC Gamer's got... Man, PC Gamer likes covering Dune. All right, here we go. This PC Gamer, Andy Chalk, published this 2 days ago. It states, Dune Awakening Studio says, sorry for accidentally wiping a bunch of stuff in the last patch. Promises to replace everything by the end of the week. This is going to happen, but let's read. Funcom has been making some serious changes to Dune, the in-game zone that put a heavy focus on PvP play at launch, which turns out a significant number of players are not into. Do you guys find that interesting? I was not expecting to hear that people were not interested in endgame, because I feel like that's become such a focus. I guess I just expect everybody to do endgame, and I'm always the odd man out. But the latest change was planned as a part of those efforts, Funcom said in today's announcement, but was intended to only occur with the next Coriolis cycle, essentially a wipe of the deep desert, and instead it wiped it early.
Oof.
Wiped out vehicles, items, zones, levels. You can expect the reimbursed materials, items, and vehicle components to show up in the game. Claim rewards tab by the end of the week. I don't know. What does this do to you guys if this happens? I personally would continue. It would kill my desire to play, but if they fixed it this quick, I think one time, maybe 2 times if this happened, I would return.
Yeah. The fix might pull me back. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to sort of...
Depending on how my friends also feel about it.
Yeah. Like if it kills excitement in a general group, then that's going to be hard. Have you guys played a game that's just absolutely... Like, we're not talking about a bad patch. Has there been any game that you guys have been playing, MMO, or anybody in chat, has there been anything that's just been, like, absolutely hammered the fuck out of one of the games you're playing? And, like, really, do you guys remember a time? Like, did Sea of Thieves ever have one of these? Or at least while you were playing, Silver?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I never lost interest because of an update or patch they did that ruined or broke something. It was always just I kind of slid away and moved on to other things.
Okay, fair enough. Johnny?
No, not really. There have been a lot of times where the online was unstable or couldn't log in, right? This type of stuff. Some games were legit unplayable early on, like in the first days, like Wolcen was infamous for this. Like
Wolcen was
even
infamous.
like 2 weeks in, you couldn't play the game, right? And they didn't have an offline mode or anything like that. So those are mostly the things that I see.
Okay.
It happens with some games that make balance changes when you have games where you develop builds. So for like Elden Ring, for instance, when all of a sudden a particular style of build gets nerfed into the ground or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That can certainly change things. Like my first Templar build got a lot less effective as time went on and patches came out, and that got nerfed a bit.
Yeah.
For instance, so that sort of ruined the fun aspect of that class a little for me. So that's certainly a common fixture, I think, for a lot of these combat-oriented games that get consistently patched.
My worst experience by far recently is Division 2. I was so into Division 2. I was having such a good time playing with the guys. This was about 1.5 years ago, and they patched the game, and the guns didn't make any sound. Now, the guns will alert you when you're near the end of a magazine or a clip. There's all kinds of reasons why you'd want that gun sound, but I can understand some people play it without sound. I do play it with sound. It absolutely devastated me because it was one of those times. It just happened to be a time where I was ready to jump in. I was super excited. We had just started playing. Everybody in the Discord was playing. We were like, we put the guild back together. We got all this stuff. And right when we did, this patch came, and you would be fired, LMGs in particular, you would fire it and it'd just be like,
Oh God.
And you're all, oh no. You know, you couldn't hear hit sounds, couldn't hear. What a devastator. And by the way, months before that got fixed. So that one, I would say, long time before I went back to that. Unshakable Faith. Thanks, ACG. I will leave a like, man, and catch the rest later. Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, Spotify goes up after this. We take the video and upload it there, so you'll be able to check it out. But yeah, so Dune, you know, they've had their bad experience. Hopefully that's the only one that they get and have. I mean, I don't know. Have you guys done Dune?
No.
Yeah, no, me neither. People in here, are you liking Dune if you're playing it?
It would require there to be like a friend or social circle for me.
I think me too. Yeah. And I've heard a couple people in our Discord complaining that nobody really wanted to play, so they were solo, which makes it, you know, not only not fun, but just is not as easy to experience as a title. So speaking that's not going to be easy to experience, at least, is Subnautica 2. So
what was
this? Last week or early this week, all three of the leaders got fired. Is that correct? I think Crafton fired the three mains, the three main in charge peeps. And back and forth continued for a while until today or early this morning, I guess. Those three leaders have stated they're suing Crafton for, I don't know how much money, but they're suing Crafton for, illegal firing, I guess, or something to that effect. But it's been a disaster, man. It's been an like that game. I don't know. It's late, right? Isn't it late to even come into early access or whatever? I think it was supposed to have come in.
It is.
Yeah. It was supposed to release in early access this year. Of an article I just read alleges that in the lawsuit, the people allege that Crafton has basically delayed it to next year so that they wouldn't have to. They would get out of paying bonuses.
Yeah. Did you see the supposed bonus amount? 250 million
for releasing, releasing this year.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if that was the bonus for doing those? And then Crafton's saying that whatever bonuses they did agree to, those three were demanding it all go to them or something. Like, it's just, you know, it's that unfortunate. He said, she said. Yeah.
It's got to be up to the courts to sort it out.
Crafton's had their own issues in the past, and this game has had its issues prior to them buying it. So it's like, it's almost like, have you ever heard that thing where a man and a woman, they're married, they move in next to somebody, girl and the guy start banging, they divorce, they get married, and then 2 years later, the two people got cheated on are together. I feel like Crafton and these guys are that group, and it almost never works out well. I guess Shania Twain, it worked out well for her. But for the most part, that just doesn't work out. Like, it's not, it's an almost worse version of a rebound. And so they were having issues prior. It didn't seem like it was where it was supposed to be. And then Crafton's had their issues in the past for sure. And now they're merged together, and it feels like that didn't work out either. And it's a nasty divorce, man. Nasty divorce. I mean, senior leadership, if you're firing them, I just have to hope, just because of a firing, that there's a reason why, right? Like, because you're losing your people who supposedly have all the data and who are the drivers. But then I think Crafton alleges that they weren't even there. One of them was doing his own movie project on the side, wasn't involved in the gaming side anymore. So it's just like, fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that gets made, and hopefully it doesn't affect everybody else, you know, the normal developers who are working and stuff like that, and that they continue to work. It sounds like it's going to be able to. It says, as you may have heard, Subnautica 2 was supposed to release into early access in 2025. But a 2026 delay was announced a few days after publisher Crafton gutted the senior leadership of the developer Unknown Worlds. Designer and director Charlie Cleveland, Ted Gill, and the co-founder Max McGuire were all fired. Things got nastier when Crafton accused the former studio heads of effectively abandoning the project completely. And then they sued and said Crafton is delaying to not pay that bonus. That bonus is insane. $250, $250 fucking million in bonuses. It is Crafton. They're the Battlefront or the Battle PUBG. So I mean,
but it's not like Subnautica is like a huge.
No, I mean, it sold well, but I think somebody did do the math though and say it was like in the 400 million in sales by the time it was done. Subnautica took off late too, Silver, because I played it early access, and what a piece of shit. That should never have been released into early access when it did, but it has done quite well since then.
Yeah.
250 million in bonus as well. I don't know.
Maybe not that well. Yeah.
It's insane. Few vague teases around what you can expect with the sequel. Have we?
I would also assume that
go ahead.
That maybe that amount also is like damages and stuff, maybe included in that amount.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe. Johnny, as somebody who is a big Subnautica fan, what have you heard about 2? What were you following it? Were you tracking it?
Not really. I saw some dev blogs and stuff, but it didn't really explain any of this dynamic.
Okay.
Any of this conflict. They were just talking about like the game they were trying to make, like about a year ago when I saw these. It's sad to see. I love the games. I thought the prior one or the sequel wasn't as good. The one on ice.
That was a mini sequel,
I forget
right?
the name.
Like a...
Yeah, it was like smaller in scope.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it just wasn't as good, frankly, which is okay. Sometimes that happens too. But I was excited for number 2. The idea of having like a co-op from the ground up. Subnautica really excites me. So I want to see it happen. And I think, like you said, they wouldn't have fired these people if they had any other choice, because it's so profoundly... We hope. It's so profoundly disruptive to a project to fire the top level people. Like you said, imagine just the level of knowledge sharing you would need to get someone else up to speed to drive that project.
I'm going to assume that we're going to find out it was just an absolute disaster, and there's probably no tracking exactly what happens. Obviously, if I was fired in any way, shape, or form I felt illegal, I would sue as well. I mean, especially if you live wherever you live, and if that's legal, you definitely should. In fact, I would say you're never doing anybody a favor by not taking every advantage that you're supposed to take as an employee if something bad happens. I don't really understand. I don't think anybody should be like, well, they gave me 20 years. It's like, yeah, but they just took away the next 20 possibly. If they did it illegally, then you you go and you demand, you demand what you should be able to get. On the other hand, be prepared, because whenever you sue, the first thing they do is discovery. And discovery includes everything.
True. Goes both ways.
Yeah. So if you were DMing your girlfriend or whatever on your fucking work account, be prepared for that shit to leak out somewhere. So yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, I personally, it's probably going to turn out to where they both feel they had cause, and then it's going to be a he said, she said back and forth. But it sucks. Hopefully it gets fixed for all these guys and comes to a conclusion. And we've seen companies where this kind of shit's happened, and then they come together maybe a year later, and they're like, all right, satisfactory conclusion. Isn't that what it's normally called? Yeah. All parties have come to a set, which usually just means we paid you out. You've decided you won't go forward. We both agreed to disagree. And agreeing to disagree is, I guess, okay. I sort of want to know what's happened, because I personally feel if you fire the leads of a game, you fucking best have your shit in a row. It better be like, because, dude, you're losing so much knowledge. I mean, at that point, I would be hiring mediators to come in and be like, let's figure this out, because you guys are obviously the ones who created this awesome thing. There's no way we're going to just, release somebody who's trying to make something unless it's egregious as shit. But Krafton's got their history, man. So, yeah, that sucks, because I know so many people are looking forward to Subnautica too, man. So many people. And Krafton doesn't have a good... They don't have a good track record. That's
what you're touching on is also the other part of these lawsuits, where you always inflate the initial number you sue for, but you can settle for less.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like,
settle for the actual number you want.
I'm suing for $7.8 billion.
$1 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion.
Settling for $50,000.
Settling for 50. Yeah, settling for 50, and we both won't talk about it. And you're like, seriously, what? That really does happen. Yeah, that's a for sure thing. But hopefully that gets settled really quick, and hopefully the devs can move forward, because, like I said, it's obviously more complete than most games, certainly more complete than a game's going to start tomorrow. So those devs, they like, hopefully they hire from the inside. Maybe some of those devs who are working could be able to jump forward and be like, let's like jump forward and take over and see what we can do as leaders in this particular situation. On the other hand, if you felt that anything was unacceptable in this and you were working there, boy, I may run one game, but I'd probably be out the next right after that game was out, because I'd be like, I can't trust these fuckers for nothing, I see people already taking the dev side on this. I don't know, man. I think people are too quick to do that instead of waiting. Well, I think waiting for, personally, I would say it looks bad no matter what. I always want to side on the idea that certain people wouldn't do stuff to get all of them get ejected, because that means the company has to prove there was a reason, and that seems like there would be proof. But yeah, hopefully it all gets figured out, because I want to see Subnautica too. Just because I didn't love the first one in early access doesn't mean second one couldn't be awesome. Anything you got, Johnny, on the list of little topics?
Topics.
Yeah.
So a couple things that I was looking at. One, the UK sales chart for software for games.
Yeah.
Is kind of interesting. So you mentioned Cyberpunk, right? And how it was initially a failure story, and they've transitioned into pretty much
absolute success.
Well, having a solid game, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's number 4 in the top sales for July in the UK.
Damn.
The Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition, and it was number 3 last month. So it's been consistently, selling super well. That's cool to me. A game that went from being removed from the store to now being so. That's trending.
Store, though.
What?
Sure.
Sorry?
You said only the PlayStation Store. It was still on Steam, so they didn't take it off.
Only
Steam.
from only from PlayStation Store. But still, that's happened only a couple times ever. Yeah,
pretty sure just Black's what's it called?
Afro Samurai.
Afro Samurai.
That was because of all the refunds people were asking from Sony, and they didn't want.
I think so too.
Yeah.
What was next?
Number 3, we got Death Stranding 2, so that's selling really well. And then number 2, you guys have any guesses?
Okay, these are real sales. It's not Steam's bullshit where they put
which one is number one, though.
Put their hardware on there. They'll be like Steam VR headset.
Correct. This is like in general software.
Shit. Dude, such a let's see. General software number 2. Let me think.
Yeah. Well, it's for games, but it's like across all.
It's across to all platforms?
Yeah, that's what they're saying here.
I don't know. I'm going to guess something completely out of the blue. Fallout 76.
Okay. Silver, you have any ideas for 2 or 1 on the list?
I'm 98% sure number 1 is going to be FIFA or EAFC.
Oh.
Good guess. That's number 2. EA Sports FC 25.
Really, really surprising that isn't number 1. Frankly.
Well, what's also surprising is that last month it was number 8 on the list, and now it's number 2.
Yeah.
Which that seems a bit strange. Mario Kart World with first place.
Oh, duh. Dude, I guess that speaks poorly of my brain on Switch stuff.
Right? You probably, because we were thinking general games, but not so much Nintendo, but
good for them.
That's there. Dude, Hogwarts Legacy, 7th. Yeah,
I know.
Not
that
bad
shit's crazy. No,
for that game.
It's not bad.
And guess what? Mario Kart 8 is in 5th place. So this is the prior.
I think a lot of those numbers for Cyberpunk and Hogwarts Legacy are also helped by extensive summer sales here in June and July.
Yeah, or even the Switch release, right? I'm thinking probably a lot of people bought these.
Yeah, that probably helped Cyberpunk
on the Switch. Yeah. No, I just thought that was cool to see that some of these, I want to say older games, like just, mature games like Hogwarts, Cyberpunk are still pretty competitive here.
Still stealing our money.
Hogwarts is really still a teenager, honestly.
What is?
Hogwarts.
Is a teenager.
Yeah, it's not quite come of age yet, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. I got what you're saying. What else?
The other thing I saw,
yeah,
they were talking about Nintendo Switch 2 shortages and how they're saying it could last until next year. And I'm thinking, is there a shortage? Because here in the UK, there literally hasn't been one. I think since even before launch, you've been able to go in. Even as of now, in the UK, you can go into Currys. And yes, that's a shop. That's an online shop. Currys. And you can buy this thing straight up. No waiting lists, no nothing. They did say they're claiming around 5.4 million sales already, which definitely is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's definitely slowed down, though, because it got to half of that in like 2 days. So you can definitely see how the trail off goes between what is, hits.
Release day, right.
So I'm just going to say this. Just saw it in the store here. Walked in, it was there. I personally believe most of the time the companies are lying or they're adjusting to make things more interesting. So they're posting that, don't worry, you'll still be able to get in with blank, a little bit of a fake limited availability kind of thing. But with that many sales, there's got to be some real shortages somewhere. So if you have one person say that they don't have any in their building, you can be like, well, there's shortages, man. We don't have enough to cover every single person that wants as many as possible. So technically that is really a shortage. Yeah. I see them. So I don't know exactly where the shortages are, but they exist, I'm sure, in some places. But yeah, I would agree with you. I don't see them too much. This has happened every time, though, guys. I feel like I still remember, by the way, Johnny, I wish you had been in the know back then, because we would have talked about this unendingly. There has never been a better example of two piece of shit bullshit companies than Sony and Nintendo during the 360 PS3 era. The lies, the fucking way they would talk about their sales, and they'd be like, yeah, man, there's not even a single PS3 or, whatever that you could find anywhere. And people were like taking photos of box towers at all these different places. It was just such bullshit. And Microsoft did the same thing. Oh, dude, we're out, man. We don't know. If you need one, man, don't worry. We're on your side. We'll make sure to take care of you, the gamer. And you're looking over at this fucking giant pile of them, and you're like, what are these fucking people? This game's off-store shelves. They're not available. And I love that Twitter was like, bullshit. And they would just show pictures of them all over every time. And I think that it's always happened. It's just with the advent of Twitter and that instant fucking, for example, YouTube's too slow. I can make a video, but it takes time to edit, blah, blah, blah. Twitter, on the other hand, you just be like, BS.
Yeah, artificial scarcity.
Artificial scarcity. And, it was you'd be in a podcast and you'd have some, it'd be an Xbox fan or a PlayStation fan. By the way, Nintendo fans, didn't really happen. You know why? Because they were selling like hotcakes regardless. That game could have offered nothing. So there was no real discussion. But Nintendo and Sony, you'd have these podcasts that get together. I remember One Up Yours, one of my favorite podcasts, Garnet Lee, some other people, but Garnet Lee and there was this guy who was talking, he was like a Sony fan, and that dude was the most delusional, cloud-brained guy I've ever heard in my life on a podcast, where he's like, yeah, man, he was like the guy who tried to tell you that the PS2 couldn't be sold in the Middle East because they take it apart and put it in missiles because it was so powerful. You're just like, dude, you're so full of shit, man. You're so full of shit. And they would toe the company line. They were little PR mouthpieces for these companies. I love it. I love that we're pushing back on it. On the other hand, I haven't pushed forward on it. I haven't bought a Switch 2 yet. So I keep looking at it.
Are you gonna? Do you think?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. When something, at some point.
Yeah.
Just depends. What else we got?
I think there's any big rush to it.
Not right now.
Need for a big rush to at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't regret getting mine, but I wouldn't recommend other people get it.
How about I agree with that? I haven't heard a single person regret getting it. Not a single person, even in the group of some fairly sarcastic individuals. But I have heard a lot of people who have not felt the desire to get it as well. Certainly more than I've seen in the past with a Nintendo system. It's an interesting dichotomy. What else you got on there, Johnny?
So this is not news, but I've been playing Death Stranding, and one of the things that I noticed is that the side quests don't really do a good job of telling you what you're going to get out of them. And I feel like that's a big reason why people dislike side quests too in games. It's because you look at it and it's not really clear what you're going to get beyond just completion. You know, and we were looking at Ghost of Yotai. I hope they do a good job showing what are going to be the rewards, you know, if you go down this path, if you do this other thing. Because that, to me, that removes a little bit my will to do some of this extra stuff. You know, Death Stranding, you're largely playing for likes, and I don't like that. I would much rather see, like, you know, if you do this delivery, you're getting this. Maybe you're getting a station to upgrade, or, you know, something tangible.
Well, right? In Death Stranding,
blueprints.
You did in the first one, at least.
Yeah, you get it in this one too. It just, you don't know in advance, right? So you're kind of doing these for likes, and you know that eventually, yes, you will get a level up, and then you'll get a blueprint or you get something. But I was thinking back at games that did a really good job showing you, and thinking like Persona did. It would tell you in advance, like, if you spend time with this person, you will get this. You know, it could be an upgrade to a stat, it could be
the volunteers,
an item. It will tell you exactly, hey, here's the trade-off. You're going to be spending time here, but you're getting this. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's missing in Death Stranding a little bit. I just don't feel personally the motivation to do some of these deliveries, as much as I do enjoy doing them. But I would like to have in my mind some type of motivation. Why would Sam do these, really? Because his priority is just connecting the continent. It's not really, you know, delivering a pizza
doing busy work, right?
Yeah, right.
I guess I hadn't thought about it.
I understand that. Like, for me, in the first game, that was part of, like, expanding the network, was like gaining the trust of these people so that they came fully on board.
Yeah,
the chiral network or whatever. So that was part of, like, doing tertiary mundane stuff for them or whatever. And I just enjoyed the fundamental delivery aspect so much that the trips themselves were kind of my reward. And then the blueprints and whatever that came with it were sort of superfluous or a nice little perk. Aside from that, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. It's not very visible at all. And to your point with Yotei, from what I could see with some of the at least with some of the bulletin board stuff, it was clearly delineated that, when you do this bounty, for instance, you'll get 250 of this currency or whatever as a reward. So it seems like at least some of it will have clear markers for rewards.
I don't know if I need to see. So, okay. I think maybe this indicates the difference between Johnny and I and him playing MMOs more than I do, or at least some of these style of games. If I think I don't want to see the reward. And I think the reason why is because the mystery, as long as the reward is good, even if it supplies, the mystery is better than seeing it written in front of my face. If I see that something's worth 250 platinum, there's a very high chance if I don't need platinum, I won't engage in the experience, which means I might not meet an NPC, which means I might not jump into that quest line, which means that NPC is not available to give quests later. It becomes this whole cycle of me choosing, like, from a bunch of gates. They're like logic gates. And so when there's no logic for me to choose and there's a mystery there, hey, somebody needs help over here, I'm more into somebody needs help over here versus somebody needs help and you'll get 250 platinum, because especially if the game pushes its fiction, I'm like, why isn't anybody else doing it for 250 platinum? Or if 250 platinum means nothing to me, then that guy suddenly means much less to me, where the mystery of going there, I can then actually even be like, I did a ton of shit and barely got anything. That could sound like anger, but in a way, sometimes that's real life. That sort of like happens in real life where you do a bunch of shit and your output, you're like, You work your ass off on a video, you upload it, and 6 people are like, "Hey, good video, man."
Dude,
like, damn.
That's like in Death Stranding when you do this tough delivery, optional delivery, right? And my feeling is, dude, I saved your ass because I brought you this like 60-pound package of water that you needed, and I got a fraction of a star in the meter. And I'm like, am I a joke to you?
I don't think you're a joke to him, but I think that's probably an indication, Johnny, that the like meter isn't really the greatest system in the world. It probably shouldn't be, because it's a faction system that's hidden behind a Twitter system. And if it was a number, it might even be better. When it's a star or half a star, you're like, bitch, man. Like a Uber driver who does their hardest and somebody gives them 4.5 and you're like, motherfucker, I'm going to fucking come back to your house in my minivan and you are giving me a 5 or a 4.9 because people don't like 5s, which I understand. But yeah.
5 is perfection.
5 is considered like a lot of fakery. Everybody can improve. Everybody can improve. But nobody has a problem giving 0. Anyway.
No, yeah.
Doesn't make any fucking sense. But let's not talk about logic, right? Yeah, that's an interesting discussion, man.
Well, 0 is when the driver doesn't show up.
0 is when, zeros. Where he shows up and there's like body parts on the front of the car and little barbed wire up there, and you're like, damn.
Well, I mean, that still is 0.1.
I would give it a star.
Just the fact that he shows up.
Yeah. Like you had the balls to show up in your fucking road wagon, that looks like something from Road Warrior, and there's like spikes on it and shit. I'd be like, hey, here's a star. Yeah, man, I don't know, dude. Yeah, I sort of like the mystery. I guess it just depends on the game, Johnny. In all honesty, I didn't give a fuck about the factions in that game. I can fully say that because some were a little too weird for me. I think people know who I'm talking about. There's a couple faction leaders, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what? Typical. Okay. What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There was a couple where I was like,
I think so. Yeah.
Especially some of the preppers later on. I was like, okay, fucking whatever.
Yeah, and there was some of that stuff is in the first game as
one.
well.
I assumed. Yeah. So.
There's also, I remember one side character in the first one who is obviously a Japanese girl, but her accent is so thick that you can barely
understand.
It's barely intelligible what she's actually saying.
Yeah, so,
and her delivery is so monotone and dry, like
Shadows? Sorry, I had to say it. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Worse than Shadows?
Much more. Yeah.
Now I'm going to go look that up because I want to see it. So I asked everybody this in chat, got some different answers. So let's go here real quick. Oregon says Devil's Advocate, Witcher 3 best side quest in my opinion. I don't think that's Devil's Advocate. I think at least even in my walking the walk, I think Witcher 3 is known for better side than main for a lot of people. And
that's a consistent narrative around that game since its release.
I've always felt that the skeleton of that was good, but the meat of it was just much better. The side they were just however it was done, a lot of good writing, but so when I ask this question, make those side quests interesting and fun, and I'll do them more often. Making optional deliveries doesn't really engage me despite any potential rewards. Absolutely agreed. SBZ says, thank you for killing 10 red dragons. Here's your extra reward. How about this? Go and get 10 elk livers, and somehow 20 of them don't have livers and don't give you a liver, and you have to kill 40. And you're like, dude, what is going on in this world where these elk are running around without
alcoholism among the elk?
Yeah, really bad cirrhosis of the liver. You chop it up, and you're like, fuck, man, this one.
It's like gacha elks where you have a chance of getting a...
And back in WoW, man, I remember that was one of the first times I experienced that with Cadiz. We were playing, and I was like, bro, it's broken. It's bugged. This is a fucking glitchy ass game. He's like, what? And I'm like, I killed 70 of these ostrich bitches, and like 90 of them wouldn't give up their necks or whatever I was trying to collect. And he's like, no, man, it's just a RNG for that. And I was like, the fuck there is. I can see it right there. Like, I can see it. Let's see. That's why they're optional. Sometimes I just offload for another player to deliver a package. Yeah, good point. I usually only do side quests if they're in my immediate vicinity. The car combat from Mad Max, never seen anything as good. Not sure why more games haven't copied it. Maybe you need a lot of systems around it. I don't know what that's in relation to, but I'm gonna say it doesn't need to be, because I agree that game's awesome. I don't care what anybody says. In Kuda, sorry, says, in a story game, I don't need to see it. An MMO or something, you want the loot. Okay. So loot-based. I feel like Death Stranding's got a lot of loot-based because the fucking roads cost.
Oh, dude, yeah.
God damn.
You're grinding for resources, man.
I remember the first time I put shit in the road, I thought it was going to complete because I had a bunch. I mean, I was weighed down, right? Like Sam could barely walk, as you guys noticed in the review. Yeah. Like I had as much as possible. And it's like, bink, you know, I was like, no fucking way. What? Let's see. Does Death Stranding 2 have a social scoring mechanism? Yes, it does. I was watching Dan's Gaming just abuse the likes system by copy pasting top rated roads. Okay. I mean, yeah, that happens. Nerej, I'm sorry, I'm really pronouncing that wrong, I bet. He says, as Carrick said, I like the mystery of what I might find in the sides rather than being A to B to get XYZ. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I feel that way. And monorails cost a lot. Yeah, true. Yeah, Death Stranding, they cost what they probably really cost, right? Like, damn, makes you realize why we pay taxes for roads here in America, at least, and we still don't get them fixed. Is it fair to compare DS2 to Mud Runner on Truck Sim with a story?
What? I mean, you can kind of
compare DS2 to Mud Runner or Truck Sim with a story. Just
kind of. I mean, there's the delivery aspect is there.
Oh,
but that's pretty much. I mean, it's tangential.
That's very tangential, right? Because there's no combat. Yeah. One's like, yeah, very. I mean, I guess you could, but there's got to be another game. You could.
I mean, certainly there are elements. The elements that appeal to me about Truck Simulator
do overlap.
And Runner.
Yeah,
are elements that fundamentally appeal to me about Death Stranding. So the comparison there does about that core element does hold true.
Yeah, I agree with that. It almost feels like it's not worth grinding the game until you unlocked every checkpoint and all upgrades, because later on everything gets so much easier. I would agree. I think Death Stranding, if there's anything I could say about 2, is that it's got the grind in the. Okay, let me explain. It's got the grind in the wrong place. At times, it feels like the grind for level 60 is at level 1, and we've seen games where it's easier at the end. That's fine too. We bitch about them here, where we're like, oh, this became a kill fest where I just killed everybody. But weirdly enough, in Death Stranding, it feels lopsided or maybe just unbalanced. I don't mind unbalanced. I actually do like a game that doesn't feel like somebody mowed it down by QA and focus testing, where things. So to me, it didn't bother me, and I liked the surprise. But that's me.
See, for me in the first game, that did end up hurting me quite a lot, or my enjoyment was once I had actually built out the network, and once I had built out the freeways and the sky rail system and everything, and all the transports became ridiculously easy, the game stopped fundamentally being rewarding for me.
Yeah.
To a very large extent, where I really preferred those like longer, more intimate treks that I was making in the early parts of the game to just riding the sky rail system just in over and over again, just to get the rush of the deliveries, to get the timers on the time deliveries executed to the max ranking. That wasn't really satisfying to me. Bro. What was satisfying to me was that starting trek of going from point A to B and having to actually traverse the territory and trying to puzzle solve that aspect.
I built cars, trucks, everything, ignored them. I built a couple stuff for other people, and I kept the on foot trekking to the highest degree right up until the end of the game. I'm sure it took me a couple hours longer than many people, because I was just like not stressed about, where I was in the game. I enjoyed running around. That engages the RNG a little bit. You might get, some weird thing happening.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. If I was just using the transit, sorry, I'm just going to say it would be like using fast travel in any game where you're not engaging. Yeah. I'm engaging a map pointer now. So yeah, even though I can see it and you can see stuff laid around, it's not the same thing as going over a hill. Guys, how many times have you gone over a hill? 1,000 times. But then if you've been playing, we talk about this with Far Cry Primal and turning the HUDs off, You take a quest that's over to the right, and now you hit the hill from an opposite side, and you see something. You see something different. You see something you missed. It's the same hill, but you're angling at it from a different... That is magic to me. That's the best part of the game. Not the fucking... I mean, quick travel, regardless of how beautiful it is. I mean, I guess Dragon's Dogma had good travel in a way because the wagons could get fucking destroyed because those goddamn griffins had such a hard-on for wagons, man. Dude, I've never seen a species so mistaken in who its mate is than griffins. And they thought the wagons had to have been the female of the species because you would be on that wagon and you would... Dude,
you'd be like, they would get an instant memo like, dude, there's a wagon on the...
Guys, stop! Wagon! Yeah, it's like Far Cry 5 when you get in the truck and everybody in the game world is like, guys in a truck 6 miles away. And you're like, dude, seriously? How the fuck do I have a GPS? Do I have an Apple AirTag on this somewhere? Like, what shit's going on? Those griffins.
Stop what you're doing.
I have that video of, and I'm pretty sure it was broken, but the two were fighting. I jumped from the head of one to the other, turned around to fight, and a third one came in. I was like, I don't even think this is on. And it fucking smoked me. It was like, because I was so confused by the number of those things. It was a gangbang is what it was. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Yeah, good times. Almost all my wagons were destroyed by a tornado from my mage. Okay. Yeah, I mean, shit, mistakes happen.
Collateral damage. Yeah.
Oregon Fresh says, gentlemen, have an awesome weekend. Just going to say thanks for the Tyranny recommendation. Game is freaking awesome. Oh, dude, you're playing Tyranny? So good. So good. Rigged says, sometimes you'll fully unlock a prepper and you get an amazing item like a silenced sniper, but you don't know it's there unless you spend an extra few hours on that one person. Yeah. Eternal says, the only game genre I detest feeling overpowered and having too many resources by the end is survival horror. Oh, that's a good point. Because it's not survival horror, right? If you're overpowered, it's not survival horror. It's whatever, a dark action game.
And Dave? I mean, that aspect also rings especially true for me because I'm a hoarder gamer. So I never use consumables or everything, and my inventory just expands throughout the game. So when I go into the final fight, I have like 99 healing potions or of everything or whatever, and I never use them, not even in the final fight. Because my brain still goes, don't use them yet. Don't use them yet. You might
need them.
You might need it for the last part of the fight. You might need it for the last part of the fight. Don't use it yet.
Just like real money, if I barely have any, I'll spend it. But if I get some kind of unknown subconscious quality in a game of something, I start hoarding it. Or not hoarding it, I start like forcing myself to not use it unless I have to. So if I see 10 life potions, much higher chance I won't use them. If I see 1 or 2, I'm drinking that bitch because it's sort of sunk cost, I guess. It's not, but my brain tells me, oh, I got 10. I've worked hard on these 10. It's like, no, you haven't. You probably bought them from an innkeep somewhere. But if I have 1, I'm like, fuck it. And I just down it. If I get 8 or 9, I'm like, I'm gonna reload this save 4 times. Nothing makes sense in gamers' minds. We think we all make sense, but nothing makes sense. Go ahead.
I found myself being like that in Death Stranding 2, where I would be attached to my 2 climbing ropes or ladders that I have in my pack, and now
Same
I'm
with
like,
me.
oh, I don't want to do this because I'm gonna lose my. It's like, bro, these things literally can be 3D printed anywhere.
And the game checks to see what you need, and will make sure that your load ins have items
for
that
the mission.
No, I mean in the game world itself. If you have the load in, where there'll be just items somebody dropped. If you have 10,000 friends and they all dropped a life potion in a game, but somebody dropped the ladder, the chance of you needing a ladder will cause that to be a slightly higher chance to get the ladder. There's like an RNG built in there. Dude, I held onto a ladder for like, and I mean, I spent, that inventory sort of sucks balls, especially using the tram where you're trying to move shit. Yeah. And I accidentally left a ladder and probably 100 pounds of metal. And I got halfway there and like an idiot, I was like, no way. Truck back. And when I see the little alert, you are walking away from whatever, or you have lost. I'm like, no, I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
No, I fucking haven't. Turning around and it just because it's so dumb. I mean, because the game is quite literally made to make sure that that won't happen at some, you'll be able to find those things. But I'm like,
you can recover.
I'm like, it's not going to happen. Nathan says, I didn't know that. I knew Zelda games would do that with items hearts when it recognized you needed them, but didn't know Death Stranding did. Yeah. Yeah. In Death Stranding also, I'm pretty sure has fake people. Because for a while we didn't have an online in the review code. So. And there were like names coming up that I was all,
Yeah.
There's something about the name that just appears too laid back.
Joe Bob 61 left you a ladder
not even
exactly
61,
where you needed it.
Like I don't know, whatever it was too generic. It was like nobody would have had that username on a PlayStation. Yeah. Go ahead, Silver. What were you going to say?
So it still works offline, that aspect, I think.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm offline. It's injecting fake ones, is what I'm saying. Because offline completely, it has to be, right? Otherwise, it'd be a pretty brutal game. Yeah. You just get nothing. You're like, fuck. Anyway, what else we got, Johnny? Any other?
Well, that's all I got on my side.
All right, I got some more on my side. Let's go with some quick questions. Control Alt Y2K says, what game mechanic do you think deserves its own Nobel level prize for elegance, and why hasn't the industry copied it yet? So let's discuss this so it doesn't turn into the Nemesis system discussion.
Sure. Yeah, that's the big one.
Let's say we always talk about. What is just one that feels like a quality of life? What's a quality of life game improvement you've seen in the last 10 or 20 years you just wish more games would do? Or you're surprised some do it, but not everybody, in quotes, does. My answer would be this. Okay, because this is going to piss people off. I like both, but I do think auto sorting the inventory is pretty nice. And depending on the game, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't want to spend 19 fucking hours trying to make sure the potion works next to the laser gun, works next to the sword, works next to the microchip. So as a quality of life, I sort of dig it. But I do understand why people love inventory Tetris. It's a thing, and it can be half the game for some people. But that I think that's one for me. Ooh, Pentagon Fortress says HUD turning off seems to be popular now. Yes, love it. What about you guys? Any quality of life you can think of that?
Yeah, one thing. Go for it.
Well, you go first. Go ahead, Silver. You go first, and then John.
Just, the big thing still from day one when I was on this podcast is turning off the default not designing for minimaps.
Yeah.
Don't include the minimap. Stay away from the minimap.
Yeah.
The minimap is the bane of my existence. I don't want it. I don't need it. Just fundamentally design the game from the ground up without the minimap.
Yep. I would agree.
So it works without it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Because, dude, I can't really stop looking at it. Like, I don't really have the the control to, because people say, well, just don't look at it. It's in the corner. Focus on the, Yeah. But there's something about it that's like, it's drawing your attention. It's, you're using that to guide where you're going instead of having to resort to other things.
Agreed. What about you, Johnny? You got any?
Yeah, there's this cool dynamic in the first Berserker of Kazan Souls game this year, where when you fight a boss, you attempt a boss, let's say you die, you still get some souls per attempt. So you will, let's say you're stuck on a boss, right? So you're fighting him 10, 15 times. You're actually getting incrementally stronger, both in your skill because you're learning the boss, but also because you're getting some XP. So you're getting access to different combos, kind of like Devil May Cry, where you can unlock combos with experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting slightly better stats too over time. It's not massive, but it's enough, I think, that if you're stuck on that, the combination of that and your own skill getting better at the boss makes it feel much more like a progression. There's a path to eventually, get through that. And it never feels cheap in the sense that like, oh, I'm just powering through this because I've gotten so much XP out of this.
Right.
Instead, it feels like a nice little bonus of like, my time is still worth it here at the end of the day. I'm still progressing even if I'm not getting through the boss.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that. I just realized you had told me about that before. It's pretty rare. I don't know of.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before in this type of game.
I also have another one from the Warhammer 40k pixel art shooting game. I forget what it's called.
Bolt Gun?
Bolt Gun. Yeah. Bolt Gun allows you in the options menu to just enable and disable cheats as you like. If you want, you can just turn on God mode. If you want, you can just turn on infinite ammo. If you want, you can just do a lot of different stuff. And you can just switch that on and off as you like and just play the game and have fun and enjoy with it. And I wish more games really offered you that sort of freedom. Maybe unlocked it as a potential reward for beating the game the first time around. That's what the Uncharted games used to do. When you beat the game, that you would then be offered the options for like infinite ammo and stuff like that to sort of mess around. I would just love more games to sort of expand on those features and allow those features for players to just have fun and try the limits of the game and whatnot, and have fun with different stuff.
So
turn on a big head mode or whatever it might be.
Cheats are like not a thing anymore. So the idea of just putting in the main resonates with that game too. So reading some of these, Pentagon says Resident Evil is big for calculating your items to adjust difficulty. Yeah, I get that. Rigged says a few times Dollman's chipped up and reminded me about an item. Oh, Nathan says every game is incorporating grappling hook because it makes traversal more fun. Can't say I agree, but
I agree on.
they're in a lot.
I don't agree that it does make it more fun.
Yeah. Either do I. Being able to pick up materials from your horse in a wide open RPG. Oh, yeah. Being able to push a button and pick up items. I hate it, but I absolutely understand why people would consider that a big deal. I like getting off the horse and having to identify if it's a safe place, all the rigmarole. But I totally get why people like it. I think Andy was on the podcast and he was talking about Aloy and Horizon. And I think he was bitching about a couple things, not bitching. His complaints were completely valid, actually. But I think we were talking about Red Dead at that time or some other game that had added a patch that let you do it. I thought it was Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but could be wrong. And he was really talking that up. Rigged says, how about the realistic faces from L.A. Noire? Never seen that used again. Realistic faces from L.A. Noire were a disaster. That was, they did fairly well there, but they were unadjustable as a feature. So that's why you got, that's why there was issues with it. The idea of using that Mega Scan 360 camera. Now they don't look that great compared to like maybe a Resident Evil 2 remake where the faces, that guy's eating that burger. I think it's Resident Evil 2 or is that 3 remake? The guy's eating the burger and you're like, this is too close. This is too close. It looks too real. Like this is a mukbang. It's making me disgusted. Bicky Monster says tactical gambit systems that let you program companions. Fucking yes. Yes, please.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
It's the greatest.
True, that is pretty rare still.
Dragon Age Inquisition and Final Fantasy, the one that I like, that we've talked about. Whichever one had gambits.
Zodiac Age.
Yeah. Being able to tell that guy to not drink the last potion, you fat fuck. You're like, dude, because you'll be in there and everybody's sharing something. That dude, you can just hear him in the background, and you're in the middle of a boss battle, and you're like, where's the last fucking potion, you piece of shit? So the idea that you can like give them sort of soft rules, primo.
Yeah.
Great. SBZ says, I dislike The Last of Us 2, but their disability options deserve recognition. They do.
Yeah, the accessibility options are
absolutely
really
yeah. Brilliant.
Let's see. On another one, custom difficulty, I think Last of Us 2 or how Shadows lets you refine the difficulty. Shadows does now, but I absolutely love it. Yeah, for sure. Sky Days, what's up, man? Nice hearing from you. Sky Days, $10 super chat. Happy Friday, boys. Currently sitting here suffering with Betty Swellix. Betty Swellix.
So that is
sweaty bollocks.
Sweaty bollocks.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yes.
The reason why I'm rubbing my neck is because it's so hot here. I've got sweat on my neck. Are any of you looking forward to Wu Chang Fallen Feathers?
Anybody? Dude, I'm losing track with all these W games.
Yeah.
Wukong,
Wulong, which was the not great one. And then
Oh. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, Wulong was the one that was
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are, but it is a Dark Souls, right? Like, I think that game is definitely right there in the we're not trying to change the world. We are quite literally aiming at a Dark Souls.
That's what it looked like to me as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Eternal says Easter eggs are always the extra icing. By the way, what are you playing, Sky Days? Like, what games are you playing? Dylan says, I like how the Ratchet games have hidden collectibles to unlock cheats. Eternal says, oh, yeah, I much prefer being able to gather resources while riding a horse. Being able to being able to unload extra weight onto my cruiser is a godsend. Death Stranding. Okay.
Yeah.
Pentagon says on the patch it was Horizon. They removed having to hold to pick up items. Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, see, I like the hold.
Remember,
but
we had a whole
long discussion about holding a button. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
I forgot. Mosey says a visual change of your upgraded equipment should be mandatory. I remember that was one thing I hated on Horizon Zero. I upgraded the high tier armor and they look the same. I agree. Listen, we're at a level where they're adding particle effects to fucking NVIDIA. Like, you can add filters to every game. You can go in. Special K lets you add all kinds of stuff. You can add ray tracing to games. Any game should just have a little particle change, right? If you're adjusting something. This is why whenever games got magic for multiple people, I love the idea of changing the color of the magic. Doom let you change the color of the projectiles coming towards you so you can make them all look the same so you didn't instantly see the sickly green reflective one. I love that. I think I agree. I think that kind of stuff would be awesome to have in everything. Wukong, Wulong, Wu-Chang, Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is coming out. Yeah. So when Wu-Tang comes out, there's going to be a lot of W games. Damn.
Yeah.
Sky Days says he's playing Death Stranding 2 and Final Fantasy 16 currently. Final Fantasy 16, that's a little late to the ball game. How long's that been out now?
Yeah, even the PC version is about a year old, I think.
Damn, that's crazy. It's crazy. All right, more questions. Sea of Thieves, paid custom servers. Yay or nay? D. Ref Nirvana says that. Are they getting them?
Yay. I would definitely say yay for that.
Are they getting them? Paid custom servers?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Damn.
But I also haven't really listened.
Me neither. I think, I mean, especially at this age of the game, took them long enough to add a lot of the stuff I would like. So, I would love that. Would I play? Probably not. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd go back in. I'd probably go back in more if it was a private server. Yeah, like a private paid-for server. Depends on if you can do mods, right? Another bit of story that I thought was interesting. Yeah. I feel like you live long enough to really have contempt for everything. And I have contempt for this story. Disney's hiring for a game that will herald the next generation of Disney to the world. The reason why I have contempt for this is because Disney used to have development teams. They made the Disney Infinite games. They worked on those. They worked on others. Then they fired them all, shuttered everything, and now we're circling right back around to them making games again. Nothing against it. That's how business goes. But I read it and I was like, because I knew some of the people there. Very cool people. But I mean, I don't know what the next generation of Disney is, because Disney's about heritage to me, regardless of that heritage.
Yeah, unquestionably.
So it feels weird to...
Very much a legacy company.
Yeah, it's a legacy company. So the idea that they're ushering in a new version of Disney, which, by the way, I have no issue with. I'm just saying that there's a dichotomy there in my brain. So I want to see, what they have to say about it. Then there was a Sims 4 patch bug. Enchanted by Nature, if you own it, there's a patch that just came out and makes everybody pregnant, even if they didn't have sex. And I got to tell you, if that's not on purpose, which it sounds like it's not, it's still one of the best bugs ever. I love Enchanted by Nature. I just love it, man. But yeah, so that ended up causing unintended pregnancies.
Immaculate conception.
Yeah. Unintended, immaculate conception without triggering any woo-woo, as they call it, or sex in the game. The patch caused random. Now, I don't know the age of the characters. We're not going to go there. But I don't know if the game... I'm sure the game has a lock for how old a character has to be before they can have a baby.
Sure.
But I even love the idea of like how dark that would be if the game just popped up and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? These like young
my
high schoolers.
Kid's pregnant.
My kid's
What's
pregnant.
happening?
Yeah. And then we can skip that. We talked about the Subnautica. Cool story came out. This was by, so I want to make sure I get the sourcing right. I think it was Windows Central who started it, and then WCC F-Tech did another article just sort of reiterating. But basically, somebody who had left Microsoft had posted on their LinkedIn their resume. And that included doing multiple deals for Game Pass that went anywhere from 50K to 50 million, meaning to get a third-party exclusive on there. So I was thinking, what would be 50 million, right? It'd have to be a pretty sizable game. But it was interesting to realize that from 50K to 50 million, it shows you the giant swath. Here's one thing I like. 50K seems pretty high for a small game. So I sort of dig that. So ignoring all the other stuff, just for a second, the number swath sort of made me happy, because I'm going to be honest, for some reason I was thinking like some indie game, like a game I'd make, where your character's barely able to walk, probably made of blueprints on Unreal, just absolutely unskilled. 50K is maybe a minimum, or maybe it was just this guy's dealing and the lowest that he dealt. I thought that was actually pretty cool, because I really did assume there were some getting like $1. Obviously not $1. Yeah, so that was interesting though. 50K to 50 million. I was trying to think what would be a 50 million game. Like, they've had a lot of exclusives, man. Say what you want about Game Pass. If you're a person, who wants to play games and for a cheaper price, there have been a just shitload of games on there that are, pretty good. I was trying to figure out what 50 million would be, though. Like Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb. Was that one? Did that one ever go to PlayStation? Maybe it never went to PlayStation.
Certainly never went to 50 million.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
You don't think they would? I don't know. I thought Tomb Raider might be there. I thought Tomb Raider was a big enough game. I think they paid for helped pay for the development, though. Was Outriders exclusive to Game Pass when it came out, or was it just a Game Pass deal when it came out?
It was on Game Pass, but it was also on Steam.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I'm sure that's where some of those come up and go down. Yeah, it's great, man. Good for them. It's very cool. This person, LinkedIn page, helped negotiate 500 deals. So just randomly, I want to point out 500 times 50,000. So let's say he did 500 deals at just the 50,000. You're like, damn, that's some cash going out. So people getting paid and happy for them. Yes. I know there's all these other things, but what I'm saying is I'm happy for the devs getting paid. Let's see. What else was on here? If Microsoft hadn't acquired Activision Blizzard King, you could probably bet that including games like Call of Duty or Diablo on the service, not as an exclusive, but as a single title, even if it's available elsewhere, would be in the 50 million mark. Yeah, for sure. Feel like those would be higher than 50 million. But feel like Diablo or a Call of Duty, I feel like 50, if you got a Call of Duty on your service that was, a subscription service for less than 50 million, I don't know, man, those games sell. I feel like that'd be a low amount.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. That was it for there. FBI takes down Nintendo Switch ROM site, NSW2U. Did you guys see this news? No. FBI seized the domain of NSW2U, one of the most popular Nintendo Switch ROM download sites. So I hadn't heard this till this morning. So this was on the 11th, today. The FBI seized and taken down one of the more prominent Nintendo Switch ROM sites, NSW2U. Not safe for work to you, whatever. First reported by Kotaku, the site was seized earlier this week on Thursday. The site remained up for a few hours before being entirely taken down. Splash screen includes a logo from the FIOD, Tax Administration, a Dutch agency that was involved in investigating the site and having it taken down. Nintendo's still after those guys. Nintendo's not letting up, man. Like,
yeah,
we're after your shit.
It feels like they started recently going after the emulator gang, right?
They've been doing that a couple of years now.
Yeah, but this wasn't emulators. This was just straight up thieves. Like these were fucking ROMs. Like they were just putting them up
right.
there, ignoring just for a second all the
ROMs,
political talk about it. But yeah, those were ripped ROMs. Yeah, whether we can talk later about like if the game's not available anymore, where does it go? Does it go to the Internet Archive or some place like that so that it's saved for posterity? Posterity, right? Yeah. Almost said prosperity. Yeah. Prosperity would be improvement.
Prostate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this move represents a significant escalation by Nintendo and enforcement agencies moving beyond cease and desist and civil lawsuits. Yeah, they go after people, man. They go after folks. I wish they'd only go after the right people though, because they also go after a bunch. Sometimes you're like, dude, I don't know, man. Let's see. Not much else for that other than it's a Dutch authority. So the Dutch have done something good for once. Just joking. I don't know anything about the Dutch. That was a political joke.
You don't know about the Dutch pastries?
I feel like I should, because that sounds delicious, but I don't know what that means. Like, what's a Dutch pastry? Are they known for specialized pastries? Like,
honestly,
with one special ingredient. Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. I was going to say what we call a Dutch pastry probably might not even be Dutch.
What, an Amsterdam? Okay, this is getting weird because you said a special ingredient and then you just said an Amsterdam brownie, which then fits more to my weird thought. What are we talking about? Like, is that a joke?
Marijuana. Yeah, hash. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's not what I thought you meant. Yeah. My brain went super dark. My brain went way darker than that. We'll stick with the marijuana. Anyway. Damn, that was not what I expected. Someone's talking about Atomic Heart, finishing up the third DLC for Atomic Heart and playing some Peak. Peak is, I know a lot of people absolutely enjoying that. And I don't know if this new DLC is why, but we have some people streaming the Atomic Heart. Got some new people jumping in who have actually enjoyed it, which is great. It's cool to see somebody doing that. Eternal says, I've always preferred Battlefield for its focus on objectives. I think Battlefield's had enough bad games. I thought whichever one's good. Feel like Battlefield and Call of Duty still have their mistakes. We've seen it, No, feels like there's very few series without like a giant step on their dick moment. People are calling these Stroopwafel. Stroopwafel. It's sort of a German accent, not Dutch. Yeah. You ever had that? What is it?
They're not that great. Yeah,
they're not that great. Yeah, it says nope, not that great. It says you're wrong, chat. You heard it here.
You're
first.
Wrong.
Have to dip them in coffee.
Oof. Do you guys dip stuff in your coffee?
I don't even have coffee, let alone dip something. And if I had coffee, I would definitely not dip something. And particulate floating in my coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
That ain't for me. I mean,
we have actually decent pastries here in Denmark, so.
Damn, shots fired. Well, I was thinking, like, I guess I've seen a lot of people have, you see the trope about cops with, like, black coffee and a donut. But I don't see a dip, like... You know what I mean? No. Like, I don't see that part. I see, like, if you see the trope, it's usually, I guess Homer Simpson dipped him, but Homer Simpson, not necessarily an apt historical figure you should follow or assume is in any way.
You mean it's not an accurate representation?
No, just so you know,
it's average American.
Other than the atomic plants and how they're run, I'm just joking. I actually don't believe that. Eternal says Battlefield's had multiple rocket launches. Yeah, for sure. Gohan says some cookies are good dipped in coffee.
Yeah.
I feel like you're having a sweet ass coffee with sugar cream
or whatever.
With what? What'd you say, Silver?
They can also be good dipped in hot chocolate, or it depends on the cookie. If the cookie's very very sweet, then some bitterness from the coffee can offset that compliment.
I don't want any funny business in my coffee, man. I don't want these like bits of cookie.
Yeah, the particulate was driving me nuts.
Nah.
Jeff Stewart says Dunkin' Donuts named for that reason. You mean it wasn't named because the owner was called Duncan? Just joking. Wouldn't that be awesome? So everybody thought the entire time it was named.
Honestly, that was what I thought. It was some guy called Duncan.
I love it. I mean, who knows?
I had ice cream with like a coffee sauce once.
That might not be so bad. Like, there's something about a thin liquid with particulate in it that's like, I might as well just, go to Calcutta. Not for me. But like the idea of ice cream with something on it, That doesn't bother me because I like ice cream with Pop-Tarts on it is good too. I like coffee with a. Do you mean like jet black or was it like an espresso syrup or? Do you remember?
No, it was kind of like a sauce, kind of like a chocolate or caramel sauce,
gotcha.
Whatever, just with coffee. Yeah.
If it's got some caffeine in it, man, you after that that's just what you need. Hopped up kid already on sugar. Now you're like, dude, let's add 200 milligrams of caffeine on that son of a bitch. Make sure old Billy ends up running wind sprints in the backyard. What else do we got, man? We got, I still got, do we have any questions in the Discord, John? E?
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
Apologies.
Rigged for Epic says, hey, I would love to hear your thoughts. Oh, sorry, we already covered the Subnautica 2 thing.
Gotcha.
Kig says, Final Fantasy IX Remake and outrage for its development being in trouble or canceled when it was never announced. Only in the NVIDIA leaks.
Well, the NVIDIA leaks have been pretty 100% right or whatever, but I haven't heard anybody even talking about. I didn't even know there was a remake. I mean, other than our assumption that there was. Right. Other than the assumption there was going to be a remake, I guess, would be the easiest way to say it. I don't think I've tracked it. I didn't see any anger. So
yeah, sadly, it's not a thing as far as we know.
Okay. And the rumor is that maybe they canceled it. What he's saying is it's weird that people are mad about a cancellation of a game never announced. The only place we've seen it would be in. Okay. I get that. I mean, it is weird, but people get attached to that shit. We always say we want innovation and everything, but what we really mean is we want innovation just in the shit that we're playing. Otherwise, we want remakes of the old games. Like, let's be honest. It's such a weird conversation because it's like you're mad because the sequel, where half of the people be like, I can't believe we're only doing sequels.
And some people are going to be angry if it's not. Yeah, if it's not an accurate remake.
Yeah. True.
How dare they not make changes, and how dare they make changes all at once?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, too. Green Saturn says, hey, guys, out of curiosity, what's one game you've played that was received harshly because it was part of a franchise rather than it lacking on its own merit?
Thief.
Okay.
The fourth Thief game. Had that game not been attached to the franchise, I don't think it would have caught anywhere near the flack that it did. Somewhat deservedly so, I think. But that reboot certainly suffered, I think, under being under that license or that.
Was that his question, that a game that didn't get received well because
of its IP,
of its IP versus its realness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Its versus its actual quality. That's how I understood the question. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I found it to be a somewhat decent stealth game. That game, irrespective of how it fit into like the Thief franchise itself, I somewhat enjoyed it. I just was able to divorce it from it being a Thief game at all.
Right. Okay, so a game that we like that is a part of an IP series that we think also completely separate from that we like got reviewed or reviewed poorly because
of word of mouth, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's a good.
So either maybe high expectations, or what I was thinking about. What's Yeah, there have been a few times where the expectation was that the game was going to be along the same lines of prior games that a company has made, and they instead shifted to a different type of game. And then even if the game itself was decent, the expectations were so different.
Yeah. Right.
So, for example, I'm thinking like Suicide Squad. Not that I'm going to sit and defend the game too much, but I would argue as a standalone game, it would have been okay to like decent, but because people expected a Rocksteady Batman style game, it got a lot of extra hate because of that.
I mean, see, because I wasn't tracking sales, so I would say that there was a lot of hate towards Batman Origins because they had switched out the developer for that particular one. But it's still, most people I know really like a game. I don't remember how it was accepted. I mean, man, fuck, I don't know. Like a game that, maybe XCOM The Bureau. I don't think it was a spectacular game, but even when talking to Total Biscuit, because
I think it's a great example, honestly.
Yeah, he took me to task a little bit, not in any negative way. He just wanted to know. He was like, if you said something and he asked because he felt the opposite, he was one of the nice guys that didn't mean he was going to argue. He was just trying to figure out where you're coming from. I remember, I think that was the game we were talking about. And I think that if you add on all these other things and that it wasn't of quality, high quality, the question then goes up, why did you do it? Right? And the thing is because the why is not related to the end result. You can want to do something and fail. Why of it makes perfect sense. How people took it is a different thing. And I would say that game probably fits it. I would also say XCOM, the Chimera Squad. I liked Chimera Squad. I enjoyed it for what it was, which was a completely different style of game than XCOM. There was a lot going on in it. There were some really cool improvements. It was a weird style game, did different stuff, and personally, I liked it. And, it's not XCOM. It was the first, that's weird that it's both XCOM games. But there you go. Maybe that's because XCOM fans are...
a great example.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the Bureau.
That game got so much hate.
It really did.
Even from the moment it was announced.
Yeah. Is that an XCOM fan style? Do you think? Do you like? Oh, and by the way, Pentagon just answered with the other answer I was going to give, but I can't say I liked it, and that's BioShock 2. Even I'm aware of the dislike towards BioShock 2. That popped up. I just didn't really experience it as much as anybody else because I didn't really dive in. But even hearing the blah, blah, blah around it, it's like, damn, that game started out of the gates where everybody's like, your horse is ugly. So
I think with the Bureau, part of that was also fueled by still remaining resentment from Fallout 3 at the time.
And switching to a
the switch from isometric in that to being a 3D shooter, and then XCOM becoming a 3D shooter, and then later we saw Syndicate becoming a 3D shooter with EA and Starbase. All of these were isometric sort of strategy games that became
that jumped into the shooter realm.
Fallout wasn't so much strategy as it was like turn-based RPG, but
it was still ISO. So it was for those fans. It was
But then shifted to become first-person shooters. Although the Bureau eventually became a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
And I think was to your point was I had a lot of fun with the Bureau. I really enjoyed that.
I had fun with it. Wasn't the greatest. I just had fun. Anything else, Johnny, on your side? I got a couple questions here.
Oh, I got this last question from Sully. He says, 2 weeks ago, I asked how much loot is too much loot. I'm in the Division 2 endgame and playing through the DLC now. I have a new appreciation for the loot structure. In the Tinkering Station, building your library of attributes and talents. Other than that, I snagged the Shadow of War bundle for $6 on the Xbox store. Bittersweet playing through it again, knowing what happened to Monolith. Any news on future games similar to the Shadow of War universe, Nemesis utilization, etc.? Thanks.
We haven't heard any news on that front. I haven't, certainly. Sadly.
Every third-person game that has any kind of system, like Assassin's Creed had their own. They got Cultists, and Legion has its own tracking system that tracks people. Any of those that overlap are going to be your best bet right now, and I haven't heard of anything. I mean, I would assume Assassin's Creed will all have them, unless it's one of the mini Assassin's Creed games. So they'll probably still put it in there because it's a fun system. But exactly like Nemesis, nope. I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, and we haven't heard about Warner Bros. Doing any follow-ups in the Mordor series.
No, they're doing a Batman, right? Isn't that the new rumor? Was that they've decided to go back and jump back into the true Batman third person, which, by the way, probably the best bet for them. Honestly, you've tried, hasn't worked out. You know, sometimes you go and you pay Barry Bonds to come back out of retirement to hit for you for a season to get your shit fixed. That's sort of the Batman of the thing. I think I'm fine with that. Makes sense. I haven't heard anything about Shadow of War. Kind of, they're done. You know, I haven't heard any. I would like it in first-person shooter games. We've seen it occasionally in multiplayer games. I do like I think it would be sort of cool if you did. I'm not going to dive into it because I'm just thinking off the top of my head. It would be sort of cool, though, if it, you know how it tells you who kills you in most games? It would be like, Carrick was killed by Johnny. It would be, I do like the idea of revenge. So Johnny killed Carrick plus 5 bullets in his magazine or whatever, and then dive into that in an even deeper way. That would be sort of cool. But
yeah,
it's off the top of my head. Oh, what else we got? Anything?
That's it for questions today on the Discord.
Dude, it's been like, it's sort of cool that there isn't many because
pretty lean.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, there was, I don't know if you guys saw or how you feel about this, but Tony Hawk came out and I guess people are really mad because I think it's got 20% of the total music redo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know Tony Hawk himself had stated he made some choices and people had already worried about the number of tracks being, you know, the return of those tracks. And I guess I saw a number, but 20%, right? Like, I'm not saying that's backed up by any science, numbers, mathematics, whatever. I just saw the number there. It was like only 20% came back. And so if that's wrong, feel free to pipe up in the chat. But yeah, dude, I didn't get a chance to play that either. Did you guys? I mean, you guys aren't Tony Hawk fans anyway, right?
Not particularly.
No, I used to love them as a kid, but what I found when I played the remake of like 1 and 2 is that I just don't enjoy those games anymore in their form. Like, my memory was so different than what they actually are.
Versus like what you even found interesting at the time versus now.
Yeah.
Gameplay loops that you find interesting versus now. Yeah. Did you guys see, what is it like again? I think again for the last quarter, 60% of all gaming time is spent in games 6 years or older. So meaning that like every month a new game releases, it has to identify as its own thing plus fight off all these people who are playing WoW or Diablo. Yeah. I was talking to Lucitan. I was like, so how's Path of Exile 2? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't know. I'm playing 1. I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Wow. If that's not a sign of like how the game's, I mean, I played Division 1 recently too. I don't know what it is, man. It's not analysis paralysis. It's like, I don't know. That's going to take a long time because I want to do a video on it, but I have no clue what's going on with games right now. Because I don't necessarily, sometimes I feel like we think there's a massive churn or a massive change going on in gaming, and we continue to forget new people are coming in that just don't have the thought process we do. Or this survey, for instance, doesn't indicate if those people have owned the game for 6 years. So let's say we get 100 million new mobile players. This is the first PC they've owned. They might buy an old game they've heard their friends talk about, Half-Life or something. So it's not really that crazy to like go, well, yeah, they're jumping into like, you know, and we keep talking about trying to grow the industry, and at the same time, we don't take it into account when we talk about the weird patterns that we see. Not that, and that's then there's a huge
contingent of players who are very comfortable just staying with what's familiar.
Yeah.
Especially,
absolutely.
How can we sit here and say something is a fucking hobby and then be like, your hobby needs to change daily? Can you fucking imagine what that would be like in other hobbies? Oh, you like to sculpt? Well, guess what? You're making fish hooks tomorrow. You're like, the fuck I am. What are you talking about? No. The next day you have to write a book. The day after that, you need to paint. I mean, some people like that, but not the majority of people. That'd be really fucking weird to be like, you need to jump into something that's brand new every time. I mean, if it's a hobby.
Try Dark Souls. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just go in. Hey, I've only played mobile games. What's the first game I should try? Dark Souls for sure. If you're a dick, you would tell them Dark Souls. You'd have to be a dick. But But I mean, yeah, in gaming in particular, the focus on trying to explain away that it's a hobby, because it is still a hobby, and the idea that it would be treated completely different than other hobbies seems a little odd. I mean, I could see a lot of people liking whatever game is fitting with them. They're like, dude, I spent my money. I'm enjoying it. My friends enjoy it. Talk your friends into playing it. Go back and play it. Do you guys say you would spend in a month? Are you 50% old games? Because Johnny, you have to be with League of Legends. You have to be.
Yeah, I'm about 50%. Yeah, I think that's about right.
50% League of Legends, or what we'll consider to be older games.
Yeah, that's really the only one that would qualify into that. But and I mean, I've gone back to games like SnowRunner and No Man's Sky at times. So yeah, there's a healthy percentage of.
Wouldn't that be an interesting
older games?
A much more interesting statistic is not that it's 6 years old. It's that does the person who is playing the old game play one game? Do they play League of Legends? Because to me, that changes dramatically. If you were playing 15 games that were old, my thought process could be collector, nostalgia gamer, retro gamer, what have you. But if you're like, I'm playing this game that's been in existence for like 12 years, that's got 1,000 characters in it or whatever it's got, it's like that changes the conversation a great deal, because that's an investment that is in one thing versus I'm just pattering out and buying.
Yeah, same thing with The Sims and all the expansion packs.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? So, Silver, would you say you're 50% old, 50% new? I think you're more, right?
I think it's much more shifted towards the old. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Robert says, I'm still playing State of Decay 2. Man, what is it with that game? That game has exploded recently. So many people are playing that thing. Anthony says,
I'm mostly playing Breath of the Wild these days, and that's nearly 10 years old now. So
Switch to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though. See, that's the other thing, though. Can I just point out, I'm assuming these statistics that everybody throws around doesn't include that. It doesn't include that a Switch 2 allows for access like the PC does. It also doesn't include the fucking mental shift somebody who buys a PC suddenly has that's never happened with a console, where you might only have backwards compatibility for 1 or 2 gens. You get somebody who's on a PC, as long as their PC is, somewhat adequately backed up, or not backed up, I'm sorry, but adequately updated, has some, whatever they need to have, they can play some ancient ass game. Like it doesn't take a lot of that into account. I'm stuck in gotcha games hell, SBZ says. Scott says this week has Neverwinter Nights 2 remaster. Did you think about getting that one, Silver? The remaster for that came out of the blue for me. I didn't know that there was a thing until they announced.
I haven't thought about getting that, to be honest. I mean, I liked Neverwinter Nights 2, and the expansion for that, one of the expansions for it, Mask of the Betrayer.
Mask of the Betrayer, yeah,
is one of my favorite sort of narratives in gaming. For people who may want to experience it.
Yeah, dude, man, those were the ancient days. Mask of the Betrayer, Christ. That's when I was writing mods and doing voiceovers for like the Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights. There was a couple back then in Icewind Dale. Man. Now, Icewind Dale, God, good times. Fuck. Dude, I don't think I'd want to play them. I'm like Johnny, where what I liked has changed. I don't know if I would want to play an Icewind Dale 3 in the way Icewind Dale 1 and 2 were designed. Baldur's Gate style, maybe. Yeah. But man, those days of like coming home and you hear the menu music. Maybe it was because of work or something, or maybe it was because of our age, but you come home and you hear that music and it feels like a like a hobby, like an escape, which I think people are consistently.
Adventure time.
Yeah, people are just not understanding that it's still a hobby, regardless of how big it fucking is. Because it is a business, but most hobbies are businesses. And so the idea that people jump in, there's so many reasons why somebody might jump into
sports. Sports is really a hobby as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, other than soccer.
Really? You gonna shit on soccer again?
No, man, I won't. Yeah, I will. I did try to watch. I'll tell you what, though. Highlights are great. Soccer highlights, those are great. Either, and maybe this is just YouTube Shorts, either it's some guy who's really excited about nothing happening, right? because you don't get that in a lot of other sports where people are like, oh my God, Johnson is in right field. This is the greatest thing. He's just standing there. But in soccer, because they're running all the time, they're just like, and it's fun to watch. The other is, for whatever reason, girls in particular, how mean they are. And you'll see like nothing but 20 minutes of some random girl and like everybody who's attacked her in professional soccer being thrown, grabbing her hair. And you're just like, damn, I'm surprised somebody doesn't get a cleat to the face from this shit. So there's definitely some enjoyment to be had. Well, they probably, I should, they don't put it in those clips, but I have heard of the paybacks that have happened, and you're like, damn. And I guess I have seen it a couple times where you see some payback, but yeah, soccer is not my thing. Really care if it's football. No, soccer. So next up, let's discuss a little bit of outside. Let's jump outside of gaming. Well, we don't have to jump outside of gaming. We can continue talking about gaming. Has there been anything that's captured your attention? Movie trailer, music, science, life, computers, anything that's like not directly attached to a game, but like anything that you've been enjoying or watching or partaking in or heard about that's caught your attention?
Not a couple trailer,
things on my side.
I did finish watching Barry.
Barry, the TV show?
HBO show, yeah.
What'd you think?
Very funny. I liked it a lot.
What's his name?
Very, very dark humor.
Bill
Hader.
Bill Hader, yeah. Great. Dude, that guy can fucking knock out some accents. Or some, what do you call it? Imitations or whatever. This dude's awesome. Yeah, so that was good, huh? What do we got? 5 seasons for that? 5, 6 seasons? Is that a typical run? 4 seasons. Gotcha. I gotta check that again. I didn't jive with the first couple episodes.
Also with one of my favorite character actors of all time, Stephen Root. Very prominent in that show.
Stephen Root?
Yeah. One of those guys who's everywhere. He's been in a lot of Coen Brothers films.
He's in Dodgeball. He's the crazy guy in Dodgeball. I love him, man. That's awesome.
Also the very diminutive guy in the humbled guy in Office Space.
Yeah.
With Stapler. I recognized him immediately in Grand Theft Auto 6 as well.
Was he the rental owner at the starting of the 6 trailer?
Yeah, he's right near the start. Yeah.
Holy shit, I didn't know. I guess I didn't know that was him. Charles Good, welcome to being a supporter, Discord access. Thank you very much. Yeah, anybody who becomes a member can jump into the Discord. I appreciate it. Support is always appreciated. Dude, that guy's good, man.
He's also like my favorite role he's done is probably the blind radio station owner in Oh Blood Brother, Where Art Thou? Where George Clooney comes in to record the record.
Where he comes in to record. God damn, that's been too long for me to remember that. I love him though. Yeah, so I mean that's a big plus. What about you, Johnny? You said you had a couple?
Yeah, I've been hitting a couple things. One thing was Squid Game season 3. That was the final season. And
final in what way? Like the story's over, even though it's not.
Story's over.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Story's over, and I mean, as you guys know, it kind of it took off in a huge way. The show did. It's this weird Korean Hunger Games type thing, and in the end, there is kind of a trying to be vague, to not reveal stuff, but like there is the thought that the games might be happening all around the world, not only in Korea. So, and there's a cameo of, I'll just say, a very famous American actress. So, like, some people are rumoring that, hey, next we're gonna have, Squid Games America. And stuff like that.
Okay.
So there's that finished up. I always feel like in a lot of those, the first season is the peak, and then from there it just, gently drops.
Right.
In quality, interest, surprise, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was, for me, like season 1 was fantastic, and then from there it's kind of plateaued a little bit, but still enjoyable.
I'm going to read some super chats here because some bad news just came in. Just don't care. $2 super chat. Hey, you. Thank you very much. We appreciate any support. As you guys know, we don't take any trips or do any of that shit. Though one of these days, I'm going to have to show up at Johnny's doorstep and be like, make me a pancake.
Trip, bitch. Let's go.
But Making Shift, $5 super chat just said, did you hear that From will be ending with season 5? And that sucks. Damn. But admittedly, if they want to end it, season 5, that works. But From is like my my guilty pleasure as a TV show. Because I like horror shows. My wife doesn't, but we can both watch that one time. She doesn't like rewatches because it's pretty gross. But that is such a phenomenal show. So that's sort of a bittersweet. So you were talking about Squid Games. You finished Squid Games up, and then
the other thing is I've been rewatching the Star Wars movies. So I started with episode 1, and I'm doing just following
chronological order.
Well, no, like
the numbering order. The numbering order. Gotcha. Yeah.
So I did 1, 2, 3 this week, and I started 4. So. And then I'll even do the new ones because I know people say, the new ones didn't happen. And certainly I have a lot of issues with them, but I'll still watch them, give them another try and see if maybe there's something there, that I missed on my first watch.
Just don't care. $2 super chat says, I love from Rip Jim. I don't know what that means, but Rip Jim sounds...
Rip Jim.
Wait a minute. I love from Rip Jim.
No, I love from,
exactly.
Rip Jim.
That's exactly what I was doing. As I was sitting here going, I know that makes sense because of the word from, and I was trying to parse that.
Yeah, there we go.
I agree with. I agree with you. Just okay. That's awesome. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Yeah. From was great. What else? Anything else?
That's pretty much it. I've been reading as well. So I'm reading this big tome from Brandon Sanderson. I got some disappointments with it, but it's also solid. It's wrapping up a huge arc and everything. So I am excited, though, to move on to other stuff because this has been just a massive... It's like a 1,400 page book. And it just kind of, at some point you want some other stuff. I want some sci-fi. I want to kind of.
Oh, is that why you were asking me what books? I gotcha. Because you were finishing up.
I was thinking about some sci-fi. I was talking to you about some ideas I had there.
You should go with Anna Karenina instead.
Go with what?
Mm-hmm.
Anna Karenina instead.
What's that?
A Tolstoy novel.
Okay, don't do
that.
Right,
light reading.
Don't take any advice. So,
yeah, that's no.
Anything else?
No, not really. That's been it.
That's a lot. You did finish. I was showing you my reading library. I've been reading I don't know, sleep schedule's even more messed up. So weirdly enough, I've been waking up at 2 a.m., which is an hour and a half before the workout and 4 hours before training people. So I've had extra time. So I've been waking up, and then Solar has been streaming really early, like in the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. area. So I jump in with Solar, and we spent I think it was day before last, we spent 5 hours talking about superheroes and story arcs, and because he was playing Spider-Man. And I always like to hear people who know more than me about that kind of subject where they can explain why this or this happens. Why is this character here? I hate this character. Why are they there? And that has been a blast. But I've been reading everything, man. I don't know. I think I've finished 6 books in the last 2 weeks. It's just for,
damn, dude.
Get done with work. I'm very scheduled. So when I have extra time from bad sleep, I have extra time. That's the other thing. If I have extra time because I schedule, it's very easy to use it, which is probably one of the biggest positives of scheduling everything. So it's been great to be able to sit back and read just a shit ton of books, whether it be technical stuff, fiction, nonfiction, everything. What were we going to say?
There is a book I've been looking to read, but I've been having trouble digging it up. But it's a historical fiction by Hilary Mantel, A Place of Greater Safety, which has been highly recommended to me. It's a historical novel set in the French Revolution. and centers around three of the central figures: Danton, Robespierre, and Desmoulins. Were all sort of central figures in the revolution. And then
I know Robespierre
for a couple of years.
Yeah, I know a couple
out of those dudes.
The other one that I finished Sarah Walker's book, and then there was I reread Penrose. Was that Penrose who did Interstellar? The science? No, it wasn't Penrose.
No,
it's what's his name?
Was the other guy?
One. The other ancient old guy who does astrosciences.
Damn it!
Jumped back in and reread that quick because his writing style is actually quite easy to understand for somebody talking about super advanced stuff. So that's
Kip Thorne. Sorry,
Kip Thorne.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then really just identifying where gaming's going, doing a bunch of studies on some stuff for the videos. I think I've got that pretty much set up, which I'm worried about saying it because I'm worried something bad will happen. Oh, that's what I was going to say. And exactly what happened. Got a bunch of shit planned. Got my stuff itemized. And yesterday I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little draft project here. Immediately, PC just took a shit. It was so funny because it had not had an issue for weeks. And I was like, I'm going to try. And then it rebooted 3 times. I was like, what in the hell? Like, it knows. I swear to God, there's a bug on there that listens to the mic. And when I'm like, I think I want to try to, just do a little project. It's like, no, you're not. And then been watching shows, rewatching Suits, Bosch a little bit, and then.
That's interesting because you didn't like Suits that much, right? Originally,
I thought it was dumb as when I overheard it. I was like, I was actually bothered that it was playing in the background because it's so drama filled and dumb and goofy. But once sitting down, very fun. Insanely fun, just not good tangentially. Some shows, if you watch it, you hear the characters, they bother you, whatever, it's on the side. It's almost like listening to us on a podcast. If you're watching us, it's fine, ugly, but fine. But some people's voices bother you if you have them just in your ear. That show has a lot of those people. And they have this sing-song way of talking, and it's always drama-filled. And I was like, this is stupid. And then I sat out there and watched it, and I was like, oh, this is actually very good if you watch it. Which I can't tell you another show I think I've felt that. I think most shows I'm okay with just having on. But if Suits is on, I would never watch it on a second screen. I have to stare. I don't know what it is. I think it's because of the actors and the way they talk and what they say. For whatever reason, I think it's because I want to kill them all. Because the stuff they say and what they do is definitely drama, soap opera-y. But when you see it in the context of where they are, in the law firm or what have you, it's just easier to take in. I don't know. Just don't care. $2.
So funny
love Silver and his freezer of corpses. Oh my God, freezer corpse joke.
Damn.
That was like 4 years ago when we were joking about Silver having fucking bodies.
It's a deep reference.
That is a deep reference. Yeah. Thank you very much. What were you saying, Johnny?
It's the show is kind of like a compilation of walking out on people.
Yeah.
So like at the end of every scene, someone is walking out of the room in a dramatic way with a mic drop.
Bro, they'll walk in and out of the room at the same time, which I've never seen happen. In Suits, many times the character will walk in and it'll be a big deal. The music's got a crescendo. The person's got, I have to poop face. So
they're angry serious. About something.
They walk in and they're like, Harvey, and he's like, not now, Donna, and she'll be all wet, and then she'll walk out. That's it. That's the scene. There's nothing you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Now, usually they try to play it off that his continual spurning of people is what causes. So that is a scene that actually, within the context of the show, makes sense. But if you hear that on the side, you're like, dude, why did they waste $20,000 of film time, not film, but film time on putting that together? But it's phenomenal. But you are right. It's CW straight up level of, oh my God, I can't tell Bob the thing that if I told him would fix everything, we wouldn't have a show. So I'm not going to tell him for 4 years. And you're like, dude, come on, man. I don't know. Maybe
soap.
Straight up soap. People are saying Sopranos. I plan on watching Sopranos. Alien Earth trailers have me hyped. I did finish up. Falling Skies for the 5th time, I think. That's the one with Noah Wiley from ER as a dad history teacher who takes over a rebellion when aliens land. Really well done show. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, that was 5 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, I saw his new show, The Pit, as well.
I love it. Dude, I thought I hated that show because it's every hour is an episode, so that's confused me.
Yeah.
And then no music or very little music. So everything you're primed to wait for, it's like a crescendo when somebody drops the mic or whatever. There's nothing. It's just little vibes. But I still think The Pit is one of the best medical shows I've seen because it covers the doctors and not
questionably the best I've seen. Yeah.
I will say gross as fuck though. Like dude, I have a good stomach. The first 2 episodes of The Pit, when I was telling people to watch it, I was like, listen, this is nothing. And it gets worse in the later episodes. There are parts where I'm like, that can't be on TV, man. It can't. Like, I need to petition against this ever being on TV again. They show a guy's arm in a twisted drill bit, and they show it drilled. And I was just like, what the
Oof.
But they're trying to get you to understand what it's like to be a doctor in an emergency room in 16 hours. Or sorry, ER in what is it?
13 hours for.
Is it 13?
No, I think it's 14 episodes, right?
14 episodes. Yeah. Just don't care. $2. We love Silver. You got some fans, Silver. You need to show up more. Not that you weren't, but Silo's good as well. About people, are they all they've ever known is living underground? Yeah, Silo is. I'm glad people like it.
Silo
but
is glacial as well.
It's not even glacial. Entire Ice Age has passed in the time that thing gets through its fucking credits. It's so slow. It doesn't. I don't even know what the term would be for that show, but holy fuck. And I can handle slow. That shit's it's unshakable. Hats off to Apple.
I watched it
for making shit boring, man. Did you watch Foundation?
I dropped it at some point. I've seen I think 2 seasons.
Entire foundations of major buildings have been poured in the time that they have a character do one thing that is useful, man. I mean, Apple Severance didn't have this at first. I know that people are definitely not as happy on this later season or seasons of Severance, but I think that one was a little bit more, at least the mystery kept you going. But goddamn, Apple knows how to slow some shit down. They're like, we got an invasion movie, no aliens. You're like, dude, what? Like, I don't know. It's fucking weird. What else do we got? We're at 3, so we can, unless we have something absolutely. Or anybody in chat, if you got any questions, do we have anything pressing or amazing? August has got fucking games, man. I mean, Metal Gear's coming out. You know, it is, yes, it's a remake of an old ancient IP. I get it, but I think a lot of people
still, it's pretty big.
Yeah. August has a couple. I was looking at my list to do that video. Let me look here. Come on. August, Jeremy. August. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, Jeremy. August. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll try and do another European Extreme run in that game. Metal Gear Solid 3.
What's European Extreme mean?
That was the hardest difficulty. And for some reason, like the Extreme mode here in the PAL, the PAL versions of the game, were spiked up compared to the North American version. So it was even more difficult. I did a run through that for the big boss rank, like in one sitting. Couldn't save. When I was considerably younger.
Damn. Yeah, some stamina there.
Dude, this is happening to me all the time. There we go. Let's see. So for August, Mafia. And I think Mafia looks...
Whoa!
Yeah, Mafia is August, dude. We're close, man. And like, I'm telling you...
Damn, dude.
And by the way, when it gets going, it actually now, this is not for me, but there's Madden NFL, there's Dying Light, The Beast in August. So Mafia, Dying Light, The Beast, Gears of War, Helldivers 2. Tell me August isn't fucking packed. Metal Gear. Like, that's Lost Soul aside, I'm sort of interested in. It may not be for everybody. But, dude, August has got, like, I would say 4 to 5 big games, and then Black Myth Wukong is coming to the Xbox in August. Like, it's actually a pretty packed when you consider just, you know, the size of those games. Or at least their what do you call it? The space they take in your brain emotionally. Those are some pretty big titles. Are you guys both getting Metal Gear?
Yeah, I probably will.
You probably will get Metal Gear. Okay. And is that because of the stealth element?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No question.
What about you, Johnny? Dying Light, Metal Gear?
I think for me, Dying Light, Mafia are the big ones I'm going to be playing. Still don't know about Metal Gear. We'll have to see. Depends on how it turns out, the remake.
Why is Metal Gear 3... Weird question. Why is Metal Gear 3 being remade versus 1, 2, 4, or whatever? Is there anything about 3 that I'm not picking up on? Is 3 just considered... I always thought I heard 4 was like the one everybody liked, but that's because I didn't really try.
3 is sort of
the cult
considered
classic.
A narrative high point in the series. Okay. I think it's certainly the most... I want to say outside of Metal Gear Solid 1 is the most narratively focused. Has a fairly, it has a fairly consistent A to B storyline. Metal Gear Solid 2 in particular is very much a meta game. It's very much a meta narrative that applies outside of the game as well as inside of the game. But Metal Gear Solid 1, you could potentially remake. I mean, they already did a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 for the GameCube called Twin Snakes. Where they basically updated the Metal Gear Solid 1 to Metal Gear Solid 2 graphics and engine. And strangely, we haven't seen any remasters or anything of Twin Snakes. I don't know what's happened to that game. I think the rights are probably with Nintendo somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, we've had remasters of 1 and 2, but those were separate.
Yeah. So I don't know if that game is stuck in limbo or something. But I mean, 3 is probably the most popular game in the franchise with the fan base. I think it's the one I see touted the most as people's favorite.
I think so. I think 4, the story was a bit too convoluted.
Wasn't that the long one?
It's famous for
like war.
Yes, that's the one with over like nearly 50% of the game is basically cutscenes. Yeah,
Virtuous is doing the port for it, or not the port. It's obviously not a port, but doing the development. They're they're doing well. It just caught me by surprise that it was that one, because again, I don't follow them that much, so. Makes sense.
It's also chronologically, it's the first game in the series. It's sort of where things start off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a prequel.
Oh, well, I guess I could say that makes sense, but we've seen how many times that wouldn't matter to anybody. But for this one, also because Konami's doing it without him.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is this. If they test it, and it does well, despite that it's not Kojima, you're going to get another Metal Gear, right? I feel like that's what would happen. I feel like test it with a remake, like a good in-depth remake from a company who's doing really well, and then
try dip your foot, put your toe in and see.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it's also just a remake, but it's like that one in particular, if what you're saying is true, which I'm sure it is, but it's the first, makes sense. So then let's say it does okay, and you're like, I don't know, we'll do a remake of 2. We'll do, but at some point when you start looking at it, you're like, you know what? Let's, because if it were to work out somehow, they would get the voice actor passed away, right? Is that incorrect? Or is the Metal Gear?
David Hayter is still alive, yeah.
Not the other David Hayter from the TV show.
No, that's
Bill Hader. Okay, dude, you had me so confused. Sorry. I was like, what the fuck? How old is that guy? I was like, dude, that's some Tom Cruise shit. Yeah. Man, that was so confused. Okay, so he's still alive. If he has no issue working on him, which I don't know, I've never tracked if he is like, I won't work without Kojima, whatever, then I could see them trying, whatever they want to do, try to put something together and stuff like that.
I think there was a little bit of bad blood over them going to Kiefer Sutherland
for 4, wasn't it 4?
4 or 5 rather.
Was that 5? Oh yeah, duh, that was 5. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Keither could.
But that was also Kojima's decision, incidentally.
True. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. They could work that their way too, right? What if they're like, hey, dude, we didn't want to get rid of you. It's that Kojima bastard. He wanted you out. We want you back in. Everybody gets together and all groups are happy. Yeah, we'll just have to see. But I why would they pass up if that series did well, if it showed that people wanted it, if they're able to hit the stealth? Because there's a lot of stuff that is purely him, but then there's some game fundamentals they're gonna have to hit too, and get right. Did you guys care that it was Keither? I didn't, but I didn't track it really. I was fine with it. But you know how it is.
Well, I mean, I did sort of. I mean, Hater's been a core part of that series,
so it makes sense, yeah,
for a long time. So on that level, yeah, but I mean, I didn't care in the sense that it didn't make me go, "Wow, it's Kiefer Sutherland." In that sense, I didn't care at all.
Yeah. Now, this is never going to happen. We can end it here, but I'm telling you right now, here's what I would want to see. This will never happen because I don't know how it would be possible. I would kill. I don't even like the show. I would kill for a 24 game. That wasn't like the 24 game we got, but like somehow does the time. I'm sort of the Pit, where it's like 1 hour is
in real time.
I dig that. It's just sort of my thing for some reason. I love that the fiction is fact in a weird way. So their seconds are my seconds. It sounds so dumb to care about that, but for some reason that resonates to me. I would sort of dig if they were like, yeah, we're, Keither's going to come back and we're going to do a 24 video game. I don't know how they do it unless it was a Telltale, which I don't think any of us want, because the game is the TV show is all about him spying and shooting and killing, and his girlfriend's killing and fighting and shooting and being anti-spies. But I sort of would dig that.
Lots of torture.
What'd you say, bud?
And lots of torture.
And lots of torture. Was there much sex in it?
I don't remember, honestly. I didn't.
No, there were allusions to sexual abuse and stuff.
Dude, here's the thing, though. If it's real time, then the sex
would
have to be
an American network show, so there wouldn't have been a lot of sex, probably.
But if it's real time, the sex would have to be in real time with you sitting there watching.
Oh.
So, dude, that would be really creepy if you're in minute 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, some people don't know what minute 6 of sex looks like anyway, but
you still do the cutaway to then something else, and then you cut back to them having completed the act.
Why'd you interrupt me to ruin my story? You just ruined it. I had a fiction, I was presenting it, and you fucking destroyed it. You're right. They could cut away. I was thinking about how uncomfortable it would be if there was like a
I get it.
12-minute cutscene of sex, and you were just like,
or even more uncomfortable if it's only 2 minutes.
Well, that's what I said. I don't know if you heard me. That's what I said. Some people wouldn't know what 6 minutes of real sex was like, but yeah, I would. That would be cool, man. That would be cool for somebody to do that. 24 game. I would go for. Imagine a game of the Lost Boys. The Lost Boys. The vampire movie. Isn't that Lost? Wasn't that the Lost Boys? Vampire movie with Keither.
I'm thinking Peter Pan.
Ooh, that'd be sort of cool. Skip. And it's just them and not Peter Pan. That'd be interesting.
Right. Like Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies, yeah.
You never came back, and then they have to figure it out on Neverland Island.
Carrick's a Pit fan. Yes, I am. Wasn't there a 24 game back? Yes, there was. Why do we get so many anime games, but barely few of them are actually great? I don't know. I think technically anime is hard to fucking do because anime, you're already a leveled up character. Every character in anime, even day one, is more powerful than any video game character ever in a normal game. Like, they're able to throw fucking, like fireballs and smash worlds. And I think for video games, it's just going to be a fighting game. Even I felt like, what were the old games? The kid with the
cat. Similar issues with superhero games.
Naruto.
Right?
Naruto, I think, with the cat whisker face, right? Isn't Naruto the one?
Yeah.
I always felt that those didn't translate, even though they tried. And yeah, superheroes the same way, right? Injustice works, but a true superhero, after a while, you're like, dude, why is this like everything feels off? That's why I think Wolverine's going to be really interesting, guys. I'm really happy they didn't go open world for Wolverine. Because the idea of Wolverine just driving around the streets on a Harley or whatever, ignoring, like it wouldn't work. So going away from the open world for Wolverine, I think, is a super smart move. One of the smartest.
Do a focus story.
You could say that Nights games by Sega. Do you mean like Christmas Nights and stuff? God, those were good. Fuck. Anyway, that'll be it for us, right? That's it. Yeah, we're at 3 hours and 20 minutes. We're going to cut this short. Last 3 or 4 have been like 4 fucking hours. So we're going to let you guys go early. Want to thank Silver for coming impromptu. Thank Johnny, as always, for sitting down and talking about games. Thanks to you guys as well. Enjoy the Discord new members. I hope you guys have an awesome time. Do we have anything, Johnny? Are you streaming anything this weekend or?
This weekend I'm streaming some League games with the community, and that's about it. And I'll be hanging out in the Discord as well.
When you say stream with the community, I guess I don't know what that means.
It's we have games where the people watching can join the games and we play together.
Okay, gotcha. That is actually what I thought it meant. I guess it's just, I think whenever I popped in, it was just you doing League. So I was trying to figure out if you were playing them in League. Can you do that in League? Yeah. Is that easy to join up? And
yeah, it's easy, but it's server limited. So you have to be in Europe server.
Oh, I see.
To join.
Geographically limited. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for us. I hope you guys all have an absolutely great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Peace out, and talk to you next week.